Welcome back to the party, everybody. This is Morty, and I am your host, Lutch, aka TheIndianJesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Everybody hit that like and subscribe. You know I would do it for you, and let's party. Welcome, guys. We do have a special guest today. Let's welcome our boy, Apostate Radio, aka Nick Chavez. Welcome. There we go. We gotta get the applause and the DJ horns for the guest. Welcome to the party.
Honored to join you, my brother. The great, the savior, the Indian Jesus.
Oh, there's always somebody in my chat saying, "Oh, you're blaspheming." I'm like, hey, I didn't say I was the Messiah. I'm just using the name.
I'm sure Jesus will be fine.
So we actually met at Dissident Dialogues, the that first event that I went to. I met shout out to Atheist for Liberty, met Thomas Sheedy and a bunch of people there. And we were able to sit with people like Alex O'Connor and stuff, and it was a really cool cool place. And it was awesome to meet you there. So for those who don't know who you are, what do you do, and where can people find you?
So you guys can follow me at Nick Chavez. Find me at Nick Chavez, at Nick Chavez, and at the new Theist, which is a new kind of like a Substack I'm doing. Both these are on X, by the way, but Substack about kind of like a new philosophy. Look, I don't know how new it is, honestly. I'm sure somebody did something like it before, but I'm not seeing people say some of the things I'm saying and looking at it from the point of view I am recently. So I'm putting it out there. So it's the new Theist. That's kind of more of what we're talking about today, though we could talk about politics as well. I'm on Apostate Radio, which is cooking pretty well. We had a lot of big guests like James Lindsay and Mia Hughes and Zeke Arkham and Josh Slocum. A lot of people. I can't name them all right now, but yeah, and that's with my brother Isaiah L. Carter. At Isaiah L. Carter on X and Apostate Radio NY. So yeah, I'm here to talk, mainly on the theism, atheism stuff. I've had a great time at the Dissident Dialogues with you, and meeting guys like Thomas Sheedy, who's awesome, an atheist for liberty, and Alex O'Connor, which was a huge honor. He's a great guy, real nice guy. I had the honor of buying him a beer. I had the honor of him calling me a couple weeks later because I went to his Dinesh D'Souza debate, which was no offense to Dinesh, but gee whiz, it's tough. Look, it's tough to defend Christianity and any Orthodox religion, man. It's tough, I think, against like a logical calculator like Alex. Yeah. I had the honor of him calling me. He said, and I quote, "You'd make a good Jesus." So I guess that makes two of us.
There you go. I was actually supposed to. I don't even remember what happened. There was something. I was supposed to go to that, and I couldn't make it. It was like it was in like Brooklyn or something, right?
It was in the Bronx, I think. Yeah, it was by whatever the hell is over there, SUNY or some Bronx school was over there. I forget what it is now.
Yeah, something just came up, and I just couldn't make it. So before we dive into all the like I've said a lot, guys, that if you guys follow the channel a lot, it often comes up what I don't believe in. Somebody will say something and be like, "Oh, I don't believe in that," or "I don't like this because of that." But we don't necessarily get too often to talk about what I do believe. So before we get into that, you call yourself the new Theist, but you are not a Christian. How does that work?
Well, so I was born and I was baptized and raised Catholic. So that's my background. But I would say I you too?
Yep.
Oh, cool. All right. I didn't know Indians did that. No, just kidding. Actually, I mean, what how many Christians are there in India, would you say? And are they mostly Catholics? Or are they Protestants more? Probably a lot of Protestants because
no idea. I'm American as fuck, bro. I have no idea what's going on. Okay. I know they poop in the streets, and that's about it. That's about all I know about India.
Well, all right. Well, okay. Well, I know a little bit about India, a little bit about Hinduism, which is pretty interesting. And we'll get into that, I think, probably later. But so, anyways, I was, raised a Catholic, and I think probably in high school I kind of started seeing. I was like, I don't know about this stuff. I don't know. Like, I'm like, oh, that doesn't make sense. That can't be right. So I was probably an atheist. I guess I was kind of not so much a devout Catholic, but in high school, but then in college, like it's probably when I became an atheist. Like, I think I still held like some kind of feeling in my head that I should believe in God or something, or God, God exists or whatever. And then took some philosophy classes, and my philosophy professor said, "Oh, I don't believe in." I asked him, and he like kind of seemed reluctant. But I'm like, "You don't believe there's a God?" He's like, "No, I don't." Like you kind of, and I was like, for some reason, I took that. I thought he was like the smartest guy I knew. I was like, well, if he's
someone in a place of authority being like, wait, we're allowed to say that?
Yeah. Well, he didn't come up, and he didn't, I think he was reluctant to say, but I asked him, like, he was kind of like, said it, like, probably feeling like, oh, I don't want to, ruin his faith too or something. But, shout out to Professor Volkman, but he's, but after that, I was like, shit, man, I really started doubting it after that. I'm like, if he doesn't think it's true, it's real, then, it's probably not, that's probably just a waste. So since then I was like an atheist since I was like 19, probably 20, 21. And then I watched The Passion of the Christ, and I was like, this is it. No, I'm just kidding. No.
I was gonna say that is. You had me for a second.
Jesus walks, man. Jesus walks. Actually, the funny thing was, The Passion of the Christ actually made me very emotional. I don't know why. Like I cried and stuff. It made me faithful for a couple months. So actually, it's not really a joke.
Yeah, I mean, I was still a Christian when that was out, and I mean, I didn't cry. I ain't a little bitch, but
I cried.
Yeah, it was.
I am a little bitch.
We all are sometimes. Real quick, let's give a big shout out to everybody in the building. We've got Thomas Sheedy. Shout out to AFL Atheist for Liberty. Welcome to the Unknown Atheist. We've got our boy Nick Luchetti, the moderator to the stars. Very good to see you. Guam Tag, welcome to the party. We might be hitting him up a little bit later to see what he thinks of this magical thinking, as he likes to call it.
Magical thinking. Ooh, we got a lot of that. So,
yep.
So anyway,
real quick, we also got Ty Cobb. Welcome, guys.
He was a great ball player, man. I'm glad he's still with us.
We got the mighty Starlog, and of course, our boy King Nirvana. Welcome to the party, guys. As you know, when we do have a guest, we're not going to be as up in the chat as we usually are. We do have the chat box up there, but make sure you get those super chats in if you have questions or anything else to say. So yes, how do we go from atheism to the new theist?
So, okay. So I remained an atheist throughout, since probably like 19, 20, 21, around that, all the way, basically, especially like in my mid to late 20s, early 30s, being like, this is, I'm kind of accepted that God doesn't exist. I thought about it quite a bit. It makes, I could have wrote the freaking God delusion probably. Like, I seen all the holes. I seen all the reasons why it's so dumb. Religion's dumb and all that. Right. But then I did some psilocybin mushrooms, and
yep.
And was a unexpected experience. And I remember I was probably like 35 or something. I'm 40 now, around 40.
Okay. I'm 35 now.
So it was about like 5 years ago. What's that?
I'm 35 now. So
you're 35 now? Oh, okay. So, all right. So I had some mushrooms, first time I ever did psychedelics. And then a couple hours later, I'm peeking and I'm seeing colors around the yard and stuff. And I'm like, all right, this is cool. It feels great. Really cool. Like this is awesome. But I wasn't like feeling like any spiritual thing. Right. I was just like walking around. I looked at the rocks. It was like liquidy and stuff. I was like, that's pretty cool. Luckily, I was with my brother, who's very mystical. Shout out to Mike, and he has a background and stuff, and he was in this sort of thing, and he calls himself a mystic, and I didn't really know what that meant until that day. Do you hear me still?
Yep.
My headphones went out or something.
Yeah, but since we don't have a video, guys, I usually I start the video, I'll be like, if you cannot hear the video, please do let me know. If you cannot hear us or something's going wrong, please
let us if you can't hear me or I'm quiet or something, let me know. So then he sat down. He's like, I'm just meditating, closing my eyes in the sun, and I did that too. And that's when I did that, and then suddenly I think I just kind of, what did I do? I don't know if I like prayed or something. And I was like, if there's any kind of things holding me back or anything's in my brain, I need to be healed or something like that, or knots, emotional knots. please heal it or whatever, like kind of like in a spiritual meditation thing. And I felt like a freaking thing, like kind of go emerge to like your third eye or something, like a spiritual plasma appendage or something kind of going in my left part of my brain, kind of going like almost massaging me for about like 7 minutes, it felt like, or 10 minutes or something like that. And it was like
Probably
really
30 seconds, but either way.
could be. It's like you kind of lose track, you kind of lose sense of time in this state. And then you're who knows how long it was. But it seemed like it was a long enough time where it wasn't just like a quick, like, whoop, there it is. Oh, maybe that was my imagination. It wasn't like, it didn't feel like my imagination, right? And I almost, I might have seen something. I felt like it was like almost like opening a portal, right? And afterwards, after feeling that, I did feel like something happened to my brain. My brain felt like minty clean, especially on like the left side of my brain for at least a couple days. But after that happened, I felt like how they talk about in like the Pentecost, like how they say, like, the Holy Spirit came down upon them and everybody felt like brave. All the disciples felt brave and wanted to spread the good news, spread the good word, right? Mm-hmm. That's exactly how I felt. So I was like, this is interesting. I guess it's like this is Mighty Sarlacc, yeah. So yeah, I remember feeling like we were all one being. I remember seeing my brothers and being like, this is, I was like, feeling like looking at them and being like, we guys are all gonna, because they were doing it with me. It's like, we're all gonna be dead one day. And I felt completely at ease with that. Like, completely like, but it's gonna be fine. Like, it's gonna be like, this isn't the end. None of it is the end. Right. It was getting kind of insights like that. And not only that, I got like insights during that time and like afterwards where you kind of get a sense of like the fabric of the universe. Like how they're just like everything's microcosms of each other. It's almost like a dream or something. It's almost like a.
So did that trip kickstart like you going down this road, or was it like, oh, after this trip, I'm completely changed?
Yeah, I mean, I was completely changed afterwards. Right immediately, I think after that experience I mentioned, I was like, this is exactly. I know what they're talking about. I know why people have these spiritual experiences now. Of course, like the fucking Mighty Sarlacc, who names himself after a fucking Star Wars monster, wants to talk shit. Thinks that he's a giant Star Wars butthole with spikes on it that lives in a desert. Of course, it could be in my brain. Of course, it could be. I know. I realize that's a big possibility. Could totally be.
Well, before we get, because that's kind of where I want to go as well, but I still want to hammer down, like, so what is it that this trip had you believe that you didn't believe before, or what beliefs do you carry from that trip that you didn't have before?
So I do believe that is actually some form of consciousness. Like, there's different dimensions of consciousness. I think that there's something quite like what people describe as God, but probably not like Santa Claus God. Like, not like
a man in the sky sitting on a cloud.
Yeah, old man in the sky, cares about everybody so much, loves everybody so much. I don't think that's how it works necessarily. I think God actually is like one of the things. I think there's certain things that God is that are interface with our world. Like, I think water is a big part of it. Like, water is some kind of thing like that, because you can't be created without water. You can't live really without water. Like everything. I'm just going off like now, like think all these things I have in my idea, like sex is like, sperm, egg in the fluid. So it's all like, I think that's like some kind of way. I don't know if it's, I believe everything is part of God, basically, for one thing. I think we are in God. I think God's like a giant imagination, a giant consciousness. And it might be part of many imaginations. There might be many gods. Maybe every multiple universe is a god. Maybe all of us are a god in our brain, and we have a whole universe in our brain. I don't know, but I think I have it's something like that. I think, or it's an alien simulation.
One or the other, right?
And that makes a
lot of sense to me.
But I still think that God probably exists even in an alien simulation. It's just like the aliens or extra dimensional beings use us for some reason, but probably for like something to develop their souls or something, like a soul farm kind of thing. Those are the two angles I basically have.
Well, the Tim Pool angle with that is that aliens created humans to be the sexual way, for lack of a better term, the sexual, procreative way that we get to AI, that we advance our own species enough and then create the AI. And that's what the aliens were all about. And
I could see something like that too. Rogan says
Yeah.
something like that as well. And I could see that that's like we're some kind of conduit towards that as well. I do still think though God exists. Like it's like we're just like all existing through, even if it's that, we're all existing through this consciousness framework. And there's also something called panpsychism, which you think, all right, so now you're cool in my book, I guess. Mighty Sarlacc. But I think that I think it's like a giant ocean. That's another thing it felt like. Some of my memories are coming back now because it's been a while and I haven't done it in a while. I've done it a couple years ago and it was a little bit different, but it was still pretty interesting. But that one was the most like spiritual experience. But it feels like almost like an ocean of consciousness, like an unlimited, like you're a wash away in it. But it feels like love. It feels like complete love. So I think that's one of the things that God does manifest itself in the universe is love. So love, family bonds, love, romantic bonds. That's that love you feel, the feeling to do right in a certain situation. I think is actually God manifesting itself. It's like kind of go like kind of like a signal. And if you're pulled away from that, if you're doing bad things, if you're like hateful, jealous, selfish, like those even little tiny things, I feel like is a different force that's pulling you and away from that direction. And I think that's the force of like the satanic, demonic force, whatever. And I don't know if that's, again, I don't think that's necessarily like a red devil monster or something like that. But I think it's just like maybe an opposing force that's like a gravity or something pulling you away from the light, the ultimate, peak of where you can go, and then something that's pulling you, no, get back. No, you don't. No, you don't. That's what happens.
Pulls you right back in. See, I made a Sopranos inside joke. There we go.
So that's a little bit of it. There's plenty more I could say. But.
Yeah, and I think a lot. What we're going to uncover here is a lot of the things that you're saying. I don't necessarily disagree with. It's the language around what we're talking about that I think most of the disagreement and thus confusion in general comes from. Before we get to that, let's shout out our boy Master General. Welcome to the party. Of course, every donation comes with a treat for Morty. Thank you so very much.
Who's Morty, the dog?
Morty is the dog, the co-host, the overlord. That is him. And
you're a cute boy. What a good boy.
Indeed. Funkmaster said, maybe there is many gods, but all must understand that there's only one overlord. Hail Morty before it is too late for you. Indeed. Thank you.
And to Funkmaster General's point there, that's another thing that I thought was like real silly. Like, how could there be gods? How could there be like Greek gods and stuff like that? Hindu gods? Like, it sounds like silly stuff that people come up with. And I wonder if those things exist too, to a degree. Because I've heard stories about like the Eleusinian mysteries where they would see Persephone like after doing LSD. I don't know if you're familiar with that Indian Jesus, but are you familiar with the Eleusinian mysteries?
I've heard. I haven't done like a deep dive, but I am familiar with the context. But really quick, we do have to shout out Funkmaster again for starting us off on the swole goal, guys. It is a peanut butter night. Check out that goal at the top of the chat. 15 supers or a $50 total gets Morty a jar of peanut butter. One I've already finished out, but you know what the deal is. Thank you. And of course, sponsor of the stream. Welcome. We also got our boy Thomas Sheedy. Welcome. Big shout out to Atheists for Liberty. So 10 years ago, the term demonic used to be a funny meme similar to rapping for Jesus. Now all of a sudden it's being used at all the time. Well, that's semantic. I would say to Tom the time. I would say, Tom, I don't know what the hell rapping for Jesus is, but demonic I feel like it's totally justified to be used all the time, because I think that force is going through life here, at least for humans. So I don't know. Like, I'm not sure that it's overused. I think even the littlest things could be. I think procrastination might be like a demonic or dark force or whatever. Pulling you away from what you should be doing, pulling you away from the good, pulling you away from being productive, whatever it is. Well, I think we all go through that.
We all
Right.
go through that.
I completely agree. And that's precisely what I want to dive into, because I think the language of it is a big factor. Again, let's shout out our boy Unwanted Foe, said the body and blood of Christ, DMT and LSD. I am with it. And of course, a treat for Morty. Thank you so very, very much.
An
guys.
unwanted foe. Like, I mean, you keep on bringing these guys up. If you ever read the Immortality Key, and I think the mushroom by something, the mushroom and something in the cross, something like that, by Allegro, I think his name is. I haven't read it yet, but I know that he talks about Jesus. Jesus is part of the like those books kind of talk about Jesus being like part of like a cult, like a part of a psychedelic cult, like, which is many religions were started by this. So Jesus in the Immortality Key, they said he might have been administering some kind of spiked wine, right? And but like the Catholic Church got rid of that, and that's what the pagans were doing. They used to have refrigeriums where they would see where in the early Christian church, like we're talking, I think like 100 years within 100 years of Jesus or something like that, where they would be hidden underground because it was illegal to be Christian, and mixed with pagan rituals, Dionysian rituals, where they would be having called refrigeriums, where they'd be having dinners with their dead loved ones. So the Immortality Key talks about that, and it's just a guy who was just studying the religion with no name, he calls it, and it's based off of different different uses of different psychedelics across Europe, and then it became witches.
So let's back up.
So there's a lot,
because
bro. There's a lot.
Yeah, I do want to hit on because you put a lot out there.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
I want to
address
some of it.
You address. You address.
A lot of the
keep
stuff,
on bringing stuff up.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff that you're talking about of there must be something, and that connection, that oneness, all of that stuff. I absolutely agree exists in some form. The problem I have is that religion is a very specific thing. And using the words of religion when we are not directly talking about those things that are supposed to be it's supposed to be talking about. Like I have a saying that God is very, very, very bad at being a word, because the purpose of words is to take the ideas and thoughts that are in my mind and transfer them over into your mind. Now we just saw we just saw the Funkmaster here talking about Morty, and you're like, oh, that's Morty. So now that you know that, now that we were able to have that little exchange that, yep, this is Morty. Now when I say Morty, you can automatically think of this little, well, he's laying out, but you can think of that guy right there. That is not the case with the word God. That is not the case with the word spirituality. That is not the case with even the word consciousness.
Hey, IJ. You're breaking up real bad. I didn't hear anything you said after you mentioned Morty there.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll back that up.
I hear you now. I hear you now. I think you're good.
Okay. Yeah. Again,
yeah.
Guys,
so you mentioned about God.
Yeah. So the idea that God, yeah, I can hear you. The idea that
the word God, and you can't.
Yeah, it's just bad at being a word, because when I say
I
Morty,
agree.
you know that I'm now talking about the dog that is sitting on my lap. And when I say God, you have no idea what I mean, or the next person means, and the next person means. So
it's like Jordan Peterson, man.
Exactly. And so if we're backing up to this shroom trip, and we say, okay, we have these experiences. I'm not doubting those experiences. I've done shrooms, I've done LSD, I haven't done DMT. I would love to, but and thank you so much for the likes, guys. The feelings that you're talking about, I also felt. I just didn't feel the need to attribute them to God. So let's back let's back there. You said it didn't feel like it was your imagination, but what type of either internal investigation or thought that did you do that, like, well, it doesn't feel like my imagination, but I know for sure it's not my imagination?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know for sure. I don't know for sure that it is. I mean, I think everybody needs to have a lot of humility with this sort of thing. I'd be shocked if it was. I'll put it this way. I used to be, before I did this, I would have been shocked if he told me that God existed, and then afterwards I'd be shocked if he told me he didn't. Now, and I don't even want. I say he, but I really usually like to use the word it, especially with my writing and stuff, because I don't think God's a male or female. I think it's both. I think it's like the energy.
Why feel the need to even define those things that you don't? Why can't we just focus on the feelings that you had of connectedness, the feeling of seeing oneness with nature? Why does it have to then be about theism and about a God? Because that's the part that I don't get. How does that connect? Because again,
I think that's what's going on. I think that's what people are talking about with God is what I experienced, and I think what I experienced was, I don't know, but I'll tell you about what I think that. I think that what I experienced was a different dimension. It's not something I've never experienced before, not something I haven't experienced after, unless I was doing psychedelics and I maybe experienced something like that again. Now, could it be like, oh, this does some crazy stuff to your brain and it's just your brain playing tricks on you? And it's like, I don't think so. I don't think there's really anything like that. I don't think there's anything like that exists that you can really reproduce. Like I had an interaction with something. I had an interaction with it. Like I had a sense of immense eternal love, immense eternal timelessness. Like that's and like, why would I have that? Why would I even have
drugs?
Being on drugs means, clearly you're going to have a feeling of immense.
That's why we do
eternal love.
Yes, that's why we do them.
No,
that's why we do them. Have you ever done ecstasy?
Yeah, it's not the same.
Right, it's not the same because but it is. Every time you take ecstasy, it's not going to be exactly the same, but just the same time, same way. Whenever you drink, your brain is going to be changed in the same type of way. Every time you smoke weed, it's going to change your brain in the same type of way. And so that's again, I'm not saying that what you experienced wasn't real. And the both on both counts, I also experienced things exactly like that. But you're saying you can't reproduce them. But I've reproduced them every time I've taken these drugs, and I did experience them here and there.
Those chemicals, yeah.
Right, I did experience them here and there. Again, if you didn't know, I am an agnostic atheist, but I was born to the Catholic Church and was confirmed in the Methodist Church, and I didn't fall away from faith until I read the Bible when I was 20 or so. And so I did absolutely have feelings of awe and being part of something that I then attributed to God and religion. But then when I walked away from that, how is it that I'm still able to tap into that if it is only religion? And if we're saying it's not only religion, it's only God, then fair enough. But that's now a strong claim that you're saying there's this other thing called God, and it's not just, this is a thing that your brain can already do, but a sober mind doesn't, it's not very useful for a flourishing society if everybody's tripping balls all the time. So
yeah,
brain, drugs don't do anything to your brain that your brain can't already do. They're just unlocking the aspect.
Yeah, sure.
So
your point is
where's the God in all this?
I mean, I think it's a different dimension of consciousness, and it's when we separate from our individuation as a physical being. Look, again, I'm not sure about this, but I have to ask you, how are you so sure that it's not what I'm talking about? Like, what makes you so sure about that?
I'm not. That's what makes me agnostic. And so the idea that I don't know is precisely.
And I think we're kind of on the same page in a lot of ways. I mean, you have and it seems like you have an emphasis and inclination to be like really doubtful about it. I don't. I feel pretty strongly that when I die, I'm going to be slipping right back into that whatever, and we'll see how that goes. I don't know if that means I'm going to heaven. I don't know if it means I'm being reincarnated. I actually have a suspicion that it probably is reincarnation, but and I have reasons for believing that, but I don't know. I don't know. I think there. I don't think that, for example, I don't think that there's I don't think hell is a real thing, but I think there's stuff that is going to feel like hell to some people.
Yeah,
I think I kind of have a karmic belief about the situation. Like, and how do I quote unquote know? Of course I don't know. I'm very explicit about not knowing. Like in my Substack, I don't know. This stuff is too complex. To your point about talking about like having God, having a word God. And having it, how can that what that represents? It's like that is, I don't think you can ever fully explain that. I honestly, I have doubts that God knows everything.
This is
what we consider God. I have doubts that God knows everything, could know everything. I also don't think God's all powerful.
And so, with all of that being said, this brings me back to why don't we stay away from loaded religious language so that we can, explore.
What else should we call it? What else should we call it?
Just we could call it a spiritually fulfilling experience. We could call it experiencing awe. We could there's a million ways to talk about it. And the co-opting religious language does two things. It muddies the waters of what we mean when we say these words, and it also weakens the validity, or not the validity, it weakens the constitution of what the actual ideology is made up of. And so if we're talking about God, and God equals Yahweh of the Bible, then that is good for communication, because every time you say God, you're referring to the same thing. If we're talking about something different, then let's talk about something different. Because when we say God, it's like an expectation, maybe not, an expectation that we are at least adjacent to the common understanding of the God of the Bible.
Yeah, look, I mean, there's plenty of different gods and different ideas of gods and different religions and different cults. So God is I think everybody kind of has an idea of what people are talking about when they're talking about God. So I'm not so scared to use the word God. I'm not sure why you're very offended or scared of using the word God. It's like it doesn't. I'm not saying it's God, Jesus' dad. I'm not saying it's whatever the Hindu God is. I'm not saying I'm not saying it's Allah.
That's why.
It's something that it's what they're referring to. I think.
So
one way or another, I think it is what they're referring to.
So I'll answer.
And and by the way, I think almost every single religion has mystics. So almost all of them have had actual, whether it's through deep meditation, whether it's through usually using some sort of psychedelic, they have experienced these things and talked about it. So I'm not associated to any religion, although I do see the parallels. I do see some teachings I think are true. I do see some like the reference to the devil. I felt that. I see that. I feel like I've been exposed to a new dimension, which is not uncommon with people who go through stuff like this and or get very religious or have some people have very deep spiritual things without psychedelics, by the way. Yeah, and that's probably something I should have said before. How did that happen? You know what I mean? So it's like
because of exactly what I said, that's already something your brain can do. Now you can recreate it very easily by just taking these drugs. That's just going to unlock the door. Or there's, I believe it's Kundalini yoga, where you can experience what is said to be very similar experiences to LSD, just from meditation. And so again, the idea here is, let me ask you a question. This God that you're talking about, would it be better or worse for us as humanity to have a greater understanding of what that is?
I think it would be better.
That would be better, right?
Yes.
So if we are muddying the waters of that thing, let's say, let's not use the word God. If we're muddying the waters with trying to figure out what that thing is, but we're using language that already refers to this thing over here, do you not see how that gets in the way of us on the way to this thing, whatever we want to call it, because we're using the same word as this thing? And there's all these people who do believe in the Bible, the God of the Bible and all that stuff. And so it is bolstering that view, that aspect of it. And so when you're talking about these more broad and vague spiritual experiences, I think you're right. Everybody has, drugs or not. We're not able to really dig into that, because then we're talking about, well, what is God and what do you mean by this and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not as offended by this term. I don't really care. I mean,
offended is not the right word. I'm not offended by it.
You seem emotionally offended by it, or emotionally averse to it.
Yes,
and I am
emotionally averse to it.
Yeah,
but I've given you a very clear reason why. So it's not that I'm personally offended, like, oh my goodness, how dare you say these words? I'm giving you a clear reason as to why that is not beneficial to the goal that we both have of getting closer to that which you are calling God.
Yeah, well, I think the point of what I'm talking about is, I think people, again, I don't know if I mentioned this before. my main, I guess, mission with this stuff is one to express what I experience and what I think it means, and whatever, take it or leave it. But I think I think God or something like it, whatever that is, exists. So that's the that's the bottom line for me. And what am I supposed to say? We're gonna, I believe that this is, let's talk about what spiritual experience coming from drugs is. What do you think spiritual experience coming from drugs is? Spiritual experience coming from drugs is spiritual experience. It's like God. We'll just call it God for now. Whatever. And you don't have to do that. What's the word you want to use?
Again, it depends on what we're talking about. The point I'm making is that we use God for this, God for that, God for that, God for that. When we're talking about this, we should have a word for that. We're talking about this, we should have a word for that. We're talking about this, we should have a word for that. When we're talking about this, we should have a word for. If we call all of them God, then how the hell are we supposed to know what the fuck we're talking about?
Well, I'm talking about. I
know you know what you're talking about because you're using the word. But how am I supposed to know what you're talking about? How does the audience supposed to know what you're talking about? We're talking about God, and we don't understand what it is that you mean by God.
We're talking about it. So I mean, I don't know. I'm explaining. I explained a lot of what I believe, and there's plenty more to explain. And there's no way to explain all of it. There is no way to explain all. Like to your original point before, there is no way to encapsulate everything that I think God is. I mean, it's like trying to encapsulate the universe. How do you explain the whole universe? How do you do it? How do you account for every aspect in the universe?
All of the things that are physically and by the laws of physics and energy in the subject to this what you call it, space. Yeah.
And what about and what about quantum physics and all that sort of thing?
Like I've heard from the
describe
top,
that for us.
I've heard from top quantum physicists. If somebody tells you they understand quantum physics, they don't understand quantum physics.
So this is very complicated stuff. God is a nice shorthand way to just put it all under one. You get the idea. That's how I feel about it. So I mean, we can use another word if you want. I'm not so offended by it. I'm also not against religion, by the way. So if you're very much against religion, I'm not. I think, because I know religion has a lot of benefits to people. So
it also has a lot of baggage. So that's a good place to dig in.
I don't think any of them are completely true, and actually all of them might be most not true, but I think they're really good for people. So
but those are two different things. So let's dive into that. Let's shout out our boy Unwanted Foe with another $2. Thank you. Said Morty needs his snacks. Oh, the banner's always there. Always. And of course, he does. Thank you. So very, very much. And we had our boy Soundwave Surfer with another $5. Thank you. So very, very much that he's here to tithe. Tithes to the Overlord. Very, very, very much appreciated, guys. That is already 4 out of 15 super chats, and what's that? 27 out of 50. We're past the halfway mark. Thank you. So very, very much, guys. So again, you're coming at this from, I don't understand why you don't like me using this word, because I know exactly what I mean by this word. I get that. But we're all trying to understand what you mean by this word. And I think you're right about what you're talking about. That's the thing. I think you're right that this stuff absolutely does exist and is important to humanity on an individual level as well as a society, because I agree that, secular humanism is not good enough as a moral structure, because secular humanism will tell you what is the right thing to do, but it has no mechanism to tell you why you should do the good thing.
There's more to it than that. That's a good point. There's more to it than that, though. Religion is Jonathan Haidt has a whole chapter on this in The Righteous Mind, right? So the religion, first of all, they studied it. I think E.O. Wilson somebody did it. Talked about how like religion basically makes people come together and do things that they would not be able to do on their own. This is what it's done throughout history. It doesn't seem as useful now because we have societies, we have all these things, these laws, cultural things. So it's like a lot of people felt like, oh, we don't really need it anymore. But like people really needed it throughout history, like to keep tribes together, to keep people to fight, to be able to fight against other people and feel brave enough to be like, we're going to go, what we have is sacred, whatever that is. They circle around something sacred. And I'm willing to put my life on the line and die for whatever that is, because what we have is sacred, and our God's going to protect us, whatever. So that's one way that it helps. They also have studies that having a God, figure, whatever, keeps people more honest, believe it or not. Now, that doesn't mean, of course, there's plenty of dishonest religious people. There's definitely religious leaders who are super dishonest and fucked up and done terrible things. Look at the Catholic Church. But the point is, in general, people act less selfishly, especially in like smaller tribal groups, especially, but even bigger groups, they feel like if God's watching them, they will behave better. They've done studies on this. I'm forgetting some of the other stuff, but anyways, we'll stop right there for now. But like but there's actually plenty. Obviously, there's the emotional benefits of it. Like, hey, I could pray to God. God can help me. God's looking out for me. Whatever. It's helped me before, and I'm not even like I prayed to Jesus recently, and actually helped me quite a bit. Do I believe that Jesus is Lord? Actually, I don't know. I don't think so. But I don't know.
So wouldn't you like to know, though?
Of course, but how would you know? How could you know?
By having conversations where we're not anchoring everything in a language from 2000 at least years ago.
Well, wait.
So we can talk about the neuroscience of actually. Let me pull this up. We just had I mean, I don't know if she linked it directly, but there was a new study that came out about near-death experiences and how you can recreate them with G-forces. And so many people use is this it? Yeah. So many people use the idea of near-death experiences as well, see, I had this, therefore God. But yet we can see that that's not the case.
More and more studies are coming out showing that near-death experiences is something that happens at the level of the brain and does not prove an afterlife. The landmark study that everyone's kind of building on at this point was
Psychophysiological Correlates of Unconsciousness and Near-Death Experiences by James Winery, if you want to check that out.
This 1997 study where we looked at fighter pilots who were experiencing extreme G-forces and they were having symptoms of near-death experiences. So when these pilots were experiencing G-lock or G-force induced loss of consciousness, they would experience a bright white light, tunnel vision, a floating sensation like they were leaving their body.
Sound familiar?
Peace, euphoria. Their life would flash before their eyes and have really vivid memories. Sometimes they would have dream states and they would talk to loved ones who had passed on, time distortion, everything that you experience with near-death experiences. And it's actually laboratory reproducible, meaning you can give someone a near-death experience.
And she goes on from there.
That's very interesting. So what does that prove exactly?
So that it doesn't necessarily prove anything except for the fact that the near-death experience
it's reproducible in a lab.
Well, no, but that it's not a direct thing. You're not talking to God. It's just another brain function. In the same way that you see, the water and the rocks acting weird when you take shrooms, it's exactly that. Your brain just doing something in a context that is not the sober context. And so again,
I don't think it proves that at all. How does it prove that? How does it prove that?
Because if we can do it, then how is it God doing it?
We could do it in our brain. I mean, like you said before, it's like what could be happening is that you're stressing out the brain in such a degree that it thinks it's dying, and then it's going through this gateway, this dimensional gateway.
But God knows that if you're in a G-force machine, you're not dying. So why would God give you a near-death experience if He knows you're nowhere near?
I don't think so. Okay, good. So I don't think God. First of all, I don't know if God is involved with this. Really, I think it's just things happen. Things happen, and you go. Like, I don't think God is necessarily like, oh, here comes my little Indian Jesus. He's coming home. All right, we're welcome for him. I think it's just you die and you just pass through. That. So like a near-death experience, you might be going, your brain's like, oh shit, here it comes. We're gonna die. Like this is it, right? Just like when you almost die, like time slows down. Why does time slow down? Some of those things.
Are you saying you don't think that near-death experiences are connected to God?
No, I definitely do. But I think that God isn't necessarily like causing them. Like I'm not sure. Like God's just sitting here waiting and be like, oh, so here he comes.
Okay, so then
I think there's a biological mechanism in your brain that keeps you when you're born and you're developing, that you're developing into an individuated creature with an individuated consciousness, and you see things from your perspective. And I feel like people and animals as well are like eyeballs of God in a way. Like we're kind of ways for it to see, to remember, to experience. And when we die, we separate from that little individuated thing, and we go back to the unified consciousness. That's the way I look at it. So I don't think what happened, what she's explaining, disproves any of that. Like,
okay, so just so I'm
like, think about just near-death experiences. People come back to life anyways. Like, I mean, so what does that disprove? It's just
that would be where I'm coming from. And so let's go the other way. Maybe I'm assuming your position. What do you see is the connection between near-death experiences and God?
Well, I think it's passing through that dimension. And that's I think it's a real eternal dimension. I do. So I don't know what that is. I don't know exactly. I think it's God-like. I don't know if it's like Jesus God or whatever, or Allah or whatever.
This is precisely the problem that we're talking about. I'm not offended by these words. They are not good words because I don't know what you mean. I don't know what I understand. The words that you're saying.
Nobody really knows. I mean, like,
right? But that's my point.
What do you expect?
My point is that we should stop.
Human being to be able to define completely what God is.
No, we should be able to talk about these experiences as individual experiences and not be like, well, anything we don't understand, it must be God, because that kind of makes sense based on the way that I've set it up.
Mm.
And if we can, if we see so much of the stuff that your average typical Christian uses as their evidence for God, it has nothing to do with that, or at the very least is very earthly and human-like and reproducible in a scientific laboratory, then it stands to reason that we don't have as good of an understanding of that thing, you're calling it God, whatever that is, we don't have as good of an understanding of it as we could have. And by using
100%,
this language,
100%.
And furthermore, by using this language, we are preventing ourselves from being able to understand what we're talking about when we're describing those experiences, why we believe they are part of this, what God actually is, what God can do. All of these things, we never get there because we are stuck on, well, what is God? And nobody agrees on what that is. And from my position, I don't think it's necessarily important to define it at all. Because I think as we have more of these experiences and talk about them in, yes, a spiritual way, but a scientifically literate way, then we will get better and better at categorizing these things. I don't have the answers right now. My entire reason that we don't have the answers because everybody just says God, 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 God. So we can't have that. I don't have all the answers, but we as humanity, we as a society can figure things out if we try to have that conversation. But if the conversation is no, well, it's God. Well, which God? What God? How? And God in which way?
I'm not basing this on religion at all, brother. I don't know. I'm not sure how many ways I got to explain this to you. So, I mean, it's not about which God, what God. It's just it's like God, heaven, whatever spiritual dimension it is. I don't know. It's something I experienced, and it's something many people experience. So I don't know what word you want to use for it. To your point, I don't think, people have been studying this thing for forever. People have been talking about this forever. Neuroscientists have been studying this. Nobody's stopping them from people saying God doesn't stop them from people saying God doesn't stop them from studying consciousness. Consciousness has been a complete black box. They have not really made any headway on explaining what consciousness is and where it comes from and what the material is and what the material of matter is. By that way, there is no answer for what matter actually is.
So it must be God.
It's atoms, it's quarks, it's electrons. What are those? What are they made out of?
So it must be God.
Now we're dipping into panpsychism. So
wait.
People are talking. So I don't understand.
Hey, brother. No. Hold on. You can't talk over me you can't talk over me. We're trying to have a conversation. You're talking a lot. You're muted right now. So you get it. You got it. You're muted, brother. You have to wait. I'm trying to address what you're saying, and you're still talking. Now I don't even remember what you said. What the hell did you say? I don't remember. That's what I'm saying.
We're talking about panpsychism.
Right before that,
the material. We don't know what the material this world is even made of.
Okay, right. So yeah. I'm saying. So that means that it's God.
No, not necessarily, but
So then why are we using that word?
I
That's
think
what I'm
that is. I
saying.
think that is. I think so. I think it means it's something like that. I think
Something like what?
Panpsychism talks about, they believe that it's consciousness. They think consciousness is the most fundamental thing, and it's more fundamental than matter. And that's a purely philosophical, rational point of view. It's not like based on any religion. I think they would probably, say that it's not, based on God or anything like that. So maybe you'd like that a little bit more. But these are the facts. I mean, there is we don't know any of that. So why do we say, let's say this. We don't know what atoms are. Can we talk about atoms? We don't really know what atoms are.
Exactly. That is exactly my
so
point. If we don't know what atoms are,
if we don't know what atoms
are, we obviously cannot have a good. If we don't know what atoms are, we can't have a good discussion on what atoms do, why they are important, or any of that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's not talking about anything.
But somehow, we can talk about what's good about God without understanding really what God is.
We can talk about. I mean, what can we talk about?
Sounds like special pleading. Sounds like, well, with everything else, we need to know what we're talking about before we go on to the next step of talking about what this stuff actually does. But not with God. We don't need to understand God. We just need to talk about what God can do and why God's important and all these things. But we don't know what God is. How does that make sense?
Who knows? I don't know. It doesn't make sense. What you're saying to me doesn't make any sense. What we don't know what God is. Nobody knows what God is.
Right. So let's stop using a word that doesn't do anything.
I mean, look, I think we need to move on. I think we need to move on from this.
The experience.
I'm gonna use the word I'm gonna use. IJ. I'm gonna use the word I'm gonna fucking use. So okay. Well, then I don't think we need to beat this horse any longer. I'm gonna use the word I'm gonna use. You perceive it any way you want to. I'm talking about my experiences that I've had.
Okay, and fine. I'll do the same then. So I'll do the same then.
That.
So
and you can tell me. Why don't you tell me?
That's a question. That's a question. Flubob Demimu. Flubob Demimu.
Why don't you tell me what you believe?
I'm going to do. I'm going to use the words that I'm using, and I understand the meaning. You can take whatever meaning you want. So Flurbob the Flubu. Flurbob the Flulu. You can't answer that question, right? Because you don't know what the fuck the question is. That's why this is important. If I don't know what you mean by God, then how can we talk about anything regarding God? Can you talk to me about
I can talk to you about I can tell you what I mean by it. I think I already did. I think I already told you.
I know you did, but that's
so
just
what else,
you.
So what else is one? So do I need to ask every other person on the street? Like,
yes. Precisely. If we are going to use the word God, then before you have any conversation about God, you need to talk to that person and have them explicitly say, what does God mean? Because everybody uses the same word for a different thing. Some people say God is love. Some people say God is consciousness. Most people that I know, when they say God, they are talking about Yahweh, the God of the Bible. But you don't mean that. So when you say God and someone else is thinking that you're saying God of the Bible, and you say, God made me think this because that, and that doesn't line up with scripture, well, then you're going to have an issue with communication. And so if we want to communicate and get better at understanding this thing, then having a problem with communication is a problem. No?
I think, I mean, you sound like Jordan Peterson. You remind me of Jordan Peterson.
I sound like Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, you remind me of how he won't.
Objection. You're the one. Okay, so
yeah, you sound like Jordan Peterson. How you are.
So fine. So Unknown Atheist said, can you give a one paragraph summary of what God is to you?
Yeah, I think again, this is not. I mean, like let's all get away from our little emotional atheist. Like, oh yeah.
I think you're projecting, bro. I'm just trying to have an intellectual discussion, and you seem to be getting frustrated that I'm not just accepting your words in the way that you're using them.
I told you, God is the. I think God is whatever this dimension, this consciousness. I think we actually are inside of God. I think we are like in the massive.
Use the word. That's a tautology. You can't use the word to define what the word is.
You can if God. You can if God.
You what God is. So telling me that we're all part of God tells me nothing.
You can if God is everything. I mean, what else can you say? I mean, we're individuations within it.
Thanks for clearing that up.
Yeah. So I mean, that's hard. It is hard to explain that, but.
Right. So instead of just using a word that doesn't explain
this is rough.
Let's try to explain it.
You can't. Well, that's you can't. We're not gonna be able to explain God completely. I'm just telling you.
Not if we don't try. Not if we just say no. You can't do it.
We can't. You can't define God.
Can't do it. How do you know what is the limit of what can be defined by human intelligence? Because if it's beyond that, you must know what the limit of human knowledge is. If you're claiming that something is beyond what humans can do, you must be aware of what the limit of that humans can do. So how did you arrive there?
Oh, so are you claiming that there is no limit to what humans can do? Is that
I'm not
your
claiming
claim?
anything. I'm asking you a question about your claim. You said it's beyond it's beyond our language. So that claim means that here is the limit of human language, and what we're talking about is beyond that. How did you arrive at the limit of human knowledge?
So you think we're going to be able to?
Please just answer the question. How did you get to that claim?
Oh man! All right, I'm out of here, dude. This is really frustrating, man. This is exhausting. Like this is real rough. Yeah, this is rough, dude. Like this is very rough. Like this is exhausting. I thought we were gonna have a decent conversation here. And
I was trying to, but you got upset when I started asking the questions.
You know what I'm talking about, more or less.
I do not know what you're talking about. Maybe you think I'm being facetious and just trying to be a dick. I am 1000% genuine. Dude, I don't know what you mean by these words. I'm trying to get an understanding. And when you define them in a specific way and that doesn't match the way that other people use it, then that's where the issue is, because it's about communicating about this issue. We all want to get closer to that which you are calling God. We all want that. But if we're all using different language, then that can't happen. So let's use a deal.
I want to. This is really, really, really exhausting. I'm not sure how much longer I could do this. Do you have another word that you want to use so we can move past this whatever?
No, because I don't know what we're talking about. That's my point. I don't know. Word for what? Word for what? What
right.
word to describe what?
All right, but good luck with all this, man. I'm out of here.
All right. I guess we'll drop the link if anyone wants to come up. I think these were very, very basic questions that I don't think were mean. I don't think I was doing any. I am just trying to understand what you are saying. And the projection of calling me Jordan Peterson, I am trying to understand what you are saying. And you're getting mad at me that you're using words that I don't understand. That's not how language works. So I just put the link if you want to come up at the top, pinned to the top of the chat. Come on through. I did not. I expected a lot more out of that. I am rather disappointed. But hey, thanks for at least coming on and trying. All of this stuff is linked in the description. So take a look at his stuff. I think he's a cool dude. I mean. Hopefully we'll talk and maybe come back, but I don't know. Yeah, come on up. Everybody is welcome. If I don't know you, please make sure you use the same YouTube name so that I can see it. Oh, everybody's saying yes. Come on up. Anyone is welcome. Yeah, just click the link at the top of the chat and you will be backstage. If you guys are enjoying the show, the party rages on 24/7 over in our Discord. The link is pinned to the top of the chat and is absolutely free to join 24/7. We're in there hanging out, having a great time. And guys, it is absolutely free. However, if you are a member of this channel here on YouTube, you can scroll right below that video and hit that join button. Starts at $2.99. There's a few different tiers, but $2.99 will get you in. It gets you members only live streams here on YouTube, all that other good stuff. But it opens up the full Discord server. So we've got the free chat that is open to anyone. Anybody can join and talk. But as you can see, that is just one of our channels. There's a bunch of different channels here, including our disciple chat for members only, our word of the day watch party, where we're talking about all this stuff. And of course, we have the voice channel here, where we are hanging out at this moment. Shout out to everybody in the Discord server. Say hello and tell them to come and join. There you go, guys. Simple as that. See you there. And a shout out to Buttercup, who just joined the server. Guys, if you joined the server while the stream is still going, you saw it's members only for the after party, but you'll get a day pass, a free day pass. So Buttercup, I hope to see you in the after party. Let's welcome our boy, Atheist for Liberty President Thomas Sheedy. Welcome to the party. Was I a dick? Was I a dick?
I think that was definitely a heated debate, but I honestly think that what you experienced there is only the beginning of what more of the cultural Christians are going to start experiencing. I think people are fed up and they are sick with this idea that God is anything. I'm just going to call something God. A personal experience happened in my life. I was a new atheist a few years ago because new atheism was cool, but now I'm going to use this word to just describe, anything that's going on in my life, and somehow everyone's going to, know what that means. Somehow Christians are going to take that seriously. Somehow atheists are going to take that seriously. I think, first off, very cool guest. I met him in person too at Dissident Dialogues. It was very, very awesome getting to know him and his background and his experiences. But I think the way that we launched these relationships with a lot of the people at Dissident Dialogues, I would say, was one of the last intellectual moments of togetherness against what we knew as the woke left, right? Wokeism in its modern day, it's critical social justice. You had a lot of intellectual minds from secular backgrounds and religious backgrounds kind of getting together. But simultaneously, you saw this annoying cultural Christian, I'm going to claim I believe, that there's some kind of God, even though I don't really believe in it. And I'm going to get offended if you ask me the details about that. I think Ayan Hirsi Ali in that article, and then her debate with Richard Dawkins, that was one of the apexes of this kind of cultural Christianity moment. And now we are starting to see everybody who's normal just getting upset at this, getting upset at the fakeness of this now at this point. Like, the jig is up. Wokeism is not entirely defeated, but in many ways we've won a lot of recent battles. I can do two things at once. I can say that God isn't real, and simultaneously I can say, Trigglypuff disturbing a college campus event and calling everything racist is also bad. Yeah. And I think we've been a little too nice for all these years, where we played nice. We were totally fine with pretending that the atheist movement was a bad thing. And all of a sudden now we have to still pretend it's 2019 or 2020. So it's the woke, and therefore we can't talk about our atheism. We can't talk about our atheism. Did the Christians stop talking about their Christianity? No.
Nope.
No. So we've been cucked. We've been disrespected. We've been we played nice for so many years at these intellectual dark web type conferences. And what forces are growing? Well, originally you had this cultural Christianity attract young men who felt like they didn't have a purpose in life. And I'm going to unfortunately play devil's advocate to our enemies. People like the Groypers, Andrew Wilson and his Crucible followers, the Orthodox trad people, all of them, as wrong as they are, and as damaging as they are, and as much of a threat as those movements are. If you are a disaffected young man and you think like Christianity might be the way, the path, the life, right? Why are you gonna cross your legs like an intellectual and be like, well, God is this philosophical construct that really expands the ethos of this path here, and it really plays into the evolution of the English language. No, you're going to read the actual Bible, and you're going to then either realize that it's full of nonsense, or you're going to genuinely believe in the contents of the Bible. So all these cultural Christian personalities, they're just creating groypers. They're creating groypers, or they're creating pissed off atheists who are actually just fed up with the fakeness at this point. And I want to give kudos to this guest. I believe that he believes in what he is saying. I think he is a good man. Absolutely. I absolutely loved spending time with him. Okay. And if you're listening now, dude, I absolutely love spending time with you. We had a fantastic conversation, both in front of people and in private as well. He told me a little bit about his background too. But I was typing this in the live chat while I was listening in. If this was 2022 or 2023, and there was you were interviewing a woke activist, and this woke activist was non-binary, and not only that, they identified as like an animal or something. Okay, and they said, I've had a lot of things happen in my brain, a lot of personal trauma, or I tried this substance or something like that. And because of that, I identify as a kangaroo or something like that. We would laugh that in 2022.
Exactly.
We would laugh that out of the building, but because it's religion, we have to somehow play woke dictionary games where we have to be sensitive about that. And that was
the point when he brought up the idea that we can't talk about atoms unless we understand what atoms are. I'm like, yeah, exactly. So I'm trying to understand what God is. And so let me, you're much more deeply entrenched in the atheism side than I am. As much as I try, you just do it better. And he mentioned that he was an atheist for a while before he did shrooms. And I was going to dig into that and ask what type of contemplative thinking you were doing or spiritual type of thing you were doing while you're an atheist. And the reason is because it's so common for older, over 30, older people to be like, yeah, I was an atheist when I was younger, and it was so silly, and then I grew out of it. But when they say atheist, technically they are right, because atheism is not an ideology, but they were merely an atheist. They just didn't think about the stuff. Whereas a lot of us lost our faith and then, filled in the moral philosophy and stuff that we needed.
And then not only that, with a lot of these kind of intellectual people in their 30s and 40s now who might have been really hip in the new atheist time, but now they're cultural Christians in the intellectual zeitgeist space. You ask them if they actually believe in God. You ask them if they actually, for example, if we're talking about Christianity, you ask them if they actually believe in the Holy Trinity. That's what unites Protestants, Catholics, and Orthodox Christians together. Okay, you believe in the Holy Trinity. You believe that to be sacred, right? They're going to answer no, or they're going to try to get out of the question, and they're going to call you insensitive. This is the stuff that we called out the Triggly pups for, the blue-haired fat woke feminists for, the BLM activists for. This is what we called out these exact same people. But why did I become anti-woke those years ago? Because I saw wokeness as religion. I saw wokeness as the same problem that I saw religion in. But now all of a sudden we have to defend religion because woke is worse? That it doesn't work that way. And I think so many, I've seen this just over the past 7 to 8 months. There are atheists who played nice in the intellectual dark web, anti-woke space, online and offline, when they worked for think tanks or went to conferences. We played nice. We were more than willing to put our differences aside in the name of liberty or in the name of free speech or in the name of, Trigglypuff bad. We want to be able to speak our minds about any topic. We did our part. But now atheism is somehow the problem. This is somehow the issue. When these people can't even define God, these people can't even actually be honest to many of their own Christian fans. I feel bad for the Christians that are actually watching there because they're getting cucked. They're getting duped. And if you're a Bible-believing Christian, don't you want to know if the person you've looked up to, like Jordan Peterson or somebody else, actually believes in the God that you claim to be?
Russell Brand or Nala Ray.
You probably know the Jubilee debate that happened like a week or two ago with Jordan Peterson. Originally Christian Debates 20 Atheists, to rename to Jordan Peterson Debates 20 Atheists. One person who I love very, very deeply and really cherish commented on one of my posts on Facebook saying, I know Jordan, I know personally what he's going through. He's a deist and he's just exploring these ideas right now and he's been through a lot and he's a good man. Isn't that enough? But
not for Jubilee.
The thing that bothers me though is that, again, the same argument, this person is identifying as an animal and is non-binary and believes that systemic racism is everywhere and they're just going through a lot of trauma. Can't you just be nice and just be okay with them saying that this condition is real? Can't you just that them identify that they're actually an animal? No, but somehow we have to give special credence still to religion. This is exactly why the new atheists were militant 20 years ago. This is exactly why we needed Richard Dawkins. This is exactly why we still need Richard Dawkins. This is exactly why, I've been telling people on X all week. I've been telling people everywhere all week. It's we're going to hit the pause button. I said this in 2019, 2020. We're going to hit the pause button, guys, because wokeism is worse, and let's get along and agree to disagree. Okay, I just hit the unpause button. And the cultural and the groypers and the theocrats and all the enemies that want to destroy us hit the unpause button.
Facts.
We were on pause. They weren't on pause. So it's time for us to not be paused and to fight. Because we're at war.
Dude. Absolutely. And it doesn't have to be against Christians. It's against it's not even against Christianity. It's against the default and the hold that Christianity has over our politics. That's it. As I say all the time, I don't want to take religion away from anyone. I want you to live in a society where you can be a Christian.
We're not Soviet, premiers and generals, or holding a gun to your face, telling you what you can or can't believe. But I just, just be honest. Just be honest. That's all we're asking. Just be honest. I think we would have a much better politics right now if that was the case. If all the really atheists, let's just be real, who identify as cultural Christians, and they went through personal trauma. I sympathize very deeply. Okay, I actually do. But we can still be real with our language. Okay, you could do two things at once. If more of these atheists actually said that they were atheists, we would have a much better and more peaceful politics right now. It's this fakeness and this garbage that is actually dividing people more than ever. You want for any of these people that are like working in the think tanks right now, thinking that this cultural Christianity stuff is a good idea. You want to know why more people are becoming groypers? Because you're telling them that Christianity is a good idea. You're just providing a stupid intellectual shell to look sexy on stage, not actually providing any material. And then it's a worse country where we now have to deal with certain policy consequences in states all over the country.
Right. And
it's so annoying.
Yeah, I don't understand why more Christians aren't up in arms like we are against these fake Christians. I'm again, that Nala Ray girl, the OF girl that was on the Daily Wire with the red hair and whatever. And it's like, if you
don't think she was saved,
I don't know, but like maybe
Jesus healed her in her awful ways.
Maybe, but maybe shut down the OF account before she gets 2 specials with Michael Knowles. And
yep.
It's just, this is exactly what we mean. And if you think that this was, that's why, I was kind of being facetious when I asked you if I was being a dick, but I got heated, but I'm just asking regular ass questions. And if you compare that type of energy going towards a Christian versus the type of energy that Christians so easily will throw against atheism. Oh, atheism, you must be a bad person. Go down the list. We all know it, Christian or otherwise. It's exactly like you said. Unpausing it. We're done.
You represent a rage that is justified, and quite frankly, if we have to use metaphorical language, righteous. I think it is a just rage where we have been nothing but nice in the name of free speech and the name of agree to disagree and the IDW and all this blah blah for years now. And what have we gotten in return? What respect have we been given? I'll say this, like we played that game when we went to Turning Point USA. We had a table and a booth at the Turning Point USA Student Action Summit in 2020. We tried to get one a few years later because, we're all against the woke, right? We're all against the woke. We got ghosted because we don't, the narrative in the Overton window has changed. It's a game. It's a political game. That's what this cultural Christian stuff is. It's not actually giving anything good to actual Bible believing Christians, and it's harming us, and it's wasting our time. It's wasting months and years of our time.
I agree with that, but I will say, especially after the atheists at DebateCon, there needs to be on the topic of having these discussions and moving our message forward. We definitely need to get past or find a way to at least articulate the side of Christianity is better for society than secular humanism. I believe that's true. I believe true.
We need to be.
That doesn't mean we can't do something better.
We need to show better solutions, but not only that, we need to have more balls. Quite frankly, I saw the way Andrew Wilson was debating some of the people up on stage and everything like that.
It should be coming out.
Quite frankly, sometimes we just get into our nerdy. Well, actually, you really meant the actual. I have to say this, but the actual period. Blah blah blah. While the audience, the Christian audience that Andrew helped develop, right, was laughing at this, laughing at this kind of stupid stereotype, and where half the time these people can't actually define the ideas that help them, guide their life. So and that was a weakness within the atheist movement too. We didn't see the threats that were coming from afar. We still think that it's 2005 and we're just publishing this in, some humanist journal that no one maybe reads anymore. And don't get me wrong, I think there's actually a lot of merit to a lot of the work that secular humanists have actually done over the last several decades. There is some good stuff there. The problem is it's all jangled. It's all disorganized. It's like, okay, here's what it's like. It's like that old bin of 90s and 2000s wires and old Ethernet cables that have collected dust, and you keep throwing your old wires every time you change your technology, and you're looking for that one wire from 15 years ago that just fits. And it's mangled with all these other stupid, dusty wires because nobody decided to go in and clean that damn bin and organize the wires and unclog the wires. And that's why Andrew Wilson won that debate. And so this is what I'm saying to more atheists. We need to actually get militant again, because you know who's militant and you know who's fiery and who was kicking butt in that debate? Andrew Wilson.
Yep.
You know who's fiery?
Love him or hate him. You gotta respect him for it.
Our enemies, they are not, they're not playing nice. Why do we have to play nice? The Richard Dawkins was so effective for 20 years. Why? Because he was this passionate atheist who just said the facts. And he didn't care if he offended anybody. Christopher Hitchens, right? The same way. I get it. Some of us got tired. We saw woke as worse. We didn't want to do the same atheist thing as well, sometimes for several years too. It's a mental health thing probably as well. When you're working in the same industry for so many years, you end up getting sick of the same old talking points. But really, I'm trying to tell all the normal atheists now, you got to wake up. 2014 has been unpaused. Yeah. Now, like that 2015 to 2023 thing of Trigglypuff, that's done. Wokeism is still a thing, but it doesn't have the clutch of power that it used to. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it still exists or not. We're still facing a war from the other side now. So it's like the U.S. in World War II. We have no choice but to fight.
So vaguely speaking, we don't necessarily need to get into the a syllogism, but vaguely speaking, how would you update your the way that you talk to Christians in that context? If we are, if the question is, Christianity is better for society than secular humanism. How can we, because that's the question that's being proposed. They've smartened up and have gone away from God exists, which should be a central, aspect of whether we follow Christianity or not. But what is a good way to articulate that, despite the fact that secular humanism doesn't have this mechanism like Christianity does to make people want to do good? Like, yes, if you want to be a good person, secular humanism is fine for you.
Yeah. If I was Andrew Wilson's opponent, I would have actually gotten even harder on the truth factor. I would have called Andrew out for being cowardly about it. Because why are people losing faith in Christianity? People losing faith in Christianity because of the lack of a truth factor. You're seeing even so many Christians now just not see the actual scientific proof that there is a God. God is the basis for Christianity, right? Even pious Christians can agree that this cultural Christianity stuff is fake. And to actually be a believing Christian, you have to believe in the existence of God. Well, if we look at the data and we see that more and more people are not believing in God year by year, then this is a very, 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 very bad analogy. And not only that, if Christianity was such a stable structure to begin with, why are people leaving it in droves? It's not like woke leftists and Marxists are leaving it in droves. Like normal, Sue and Bill and Bob, maybe centrists, who own a suburban home, they work in tech or the medical field, like educated people, normal everyday people, they're leaving religion in droves and throughout the West, and this is just an increasing situation here. And so,
agreed.
I think sorry.
DJ Isolated here is saying, "What war? Please hold them to task. What war are atheists going for?"
So the war between
you asked DJ,
but the war between secularists and theocracy, right? I would call this. Peter Boghossian used to call this culture war 1.0. Creationism in the public schools and laws that criminalize certain things pertaining to non-religiosity and things like that. This powerful post 9/11 movement against superstitious thinking in all forms and acts of terrorism and also public policy violations being done in the name of religion. That got replaced by kind of the second culture war of, wow, wokeism is really, really bad. It's looking just like religion. It's defending Islam in the name of diversity. We need to pivot and we need to target and attack that. And all of us, I'm assuming that, your audience as well has been in that space. We've all been in that space for the last really 9 years. And you're noticing all now that some of the people you thought were your friends in that second war, all of a sudden they're treating it a little bit differently.
The woke
right. Yeah, some people call it that. Exactly. Well, yeah.
We tried to fight against we tried to either use like the meme right, and I wanted to be cheeky and call them trans conservatives, but
I'll call it whatever people want to call it. There are some people that say, Tom, don't call it that. Some people say, yes, it's accurate. Call it that. Whatever. Let's just all agree this phenomenon. We'll say woke right for the sake of this conversation.
Exactly.
Right. So why and here's the other thing. Why are we all talking about the woke right now? This only proves the fact that we are talking about it now, and public policy officials and everybody's talking about it now. And of course, I get a call at the worst possible time because of the fact that it's a large and ever-growing threat, right? It's not just something that we're like making up to divide people or something like that. Yeah. Like I don't like to lose my spot at certain conferences. I don't like to make enemies within people that were amongst people that were in my own ranks. That doesn't make me look good, actually. So that's a very bad strategy if that was the end goal.
Yeah. And I think the kind of looking a little bit more broadly, the idea that we were all united against wokeism, and we were in that spot, and we
were to a degree for those 3 years, absolutely, sure.
And as you said, we didn't defeat wokeness, but we certainly, at least with the woke left, we certainly have turned that ship around, and it's not nearly.
It's like we reached. It's like we reached Poke, and we're like it's still there, but like we're beginning. Right.
And so that was priority number one. That was priority number one. The woke left is like whoever we gotta work together to be in the anti-wokeness boat, whatever. But now that problem has gone down on the list of priorities, now we have people and people on the right who have spent years talking about identity politics is bad and shutting down conversations because this, that, and the other is bad, and then doing the same exact fucking thing. Buttercup said, I like woke right because it perfectly explains how they are acting and it makes them mad to be compared to what they hate. It's a win-win.
Yeah, it's angering portions of the right that now hate us anyways. So it's kind of funny. I can see why also some people don't like it. I don't really care. I'll call it whatever people want me to call it.
And I agree on atheist that it is confusing people now, but in this, I mean, to bring it back to the conversation we were having, with Chavez, the idea is that it's a newer concept, so we have to continue to talk about it, and we have to continue to hone in on what exactly do we mean, so that now, okay, everybody understands the woke right means this, because James Lindsay is saying that, Dave Smith is saying that, Konstantin Kissin's saying that, the people on the left are saying MAGA, all of MAGA is woke, and it is confusing. But the more we say, no, it's this, and this. It's this, it will become more solidified. And then we can say, okay, the people who are causing the trouble in this whatever context, that's wokeness. We are not for wokeness. And that is how the conversation develops. And then the solutions in practical reality exist. And so if I want to get closer to God, something I've wanted to do my entire life, a long time I believed in a Christian God, but now the same thing that it seems like he was talking about, just some energy or consciousness or whatever, something bigger than ourselves. To go back to the poll, I am not a strict materialist. I do believe there's something, but we can't understand what the fuck that is if we keep just calling it God, period.
Yeah. And also Christians are not going to understand what you're saying. They're going to think that you believe in their God. Exactly. And it's dishonest to them, right? We're talking about being nice to Christians. How about that? Yep.
We just had someone join the Discord from an old video that I did. Shout out to Theremin Trees. I don't know if you're familiar with the channel Theremin Trees, but you definitely should. It's an old channel, but it was a 10-year-old video that was talking about respecting beliefs and the notion that it's a false social contract that, well, I'll respect your beliefs if you respect mine. And it's like, hold on, whoa. I'm not asking.
Oh,
you
I
to respect
remember.
my
I think I remember this. Yeah. It's
Real quick,
I do
let's
remember
shout
it.
out, boy. Unwanted Bo said, Morty looks hungry. He always is. Thank you. So very, very much, guys. That is what, 5 out of 15 and 34 out of 50. We're getting close to the goal, and Morty will get his peanut butter. Let's make him happy, guys. Thank you. So very, very much, sir. Let's grab something. They're talking among themselves. So sorry, yeah. And the notion that, oh, you have to respect my beliefs. It's like, no, the fuck, I do not.
Yeah. It's, I'll just state this argument again. I believe that everything is racist, and therefore you have to respect my personal experiences. I believe that everybody's out to get me, and I need to identify as this for my own personal safety, because you have to respect my belief in that. It's kind of funny how now these people are saying, whoa, you can't criticize my beliefs. That's insensitive. Anybody wants to, take a look at a good debate, take a look at the, this was at a conference called Level Up 2024 last year. Advisory board member of Atheists for Liberty, Craig Biddle, he's the head of the Objective Standard Institute. Him and Timothy Sandifer debated Ayan Hirsi Ali and also I forgot the other gentleman that was on stage, but this was a debate you could find on YouTube. You see Craig is like one of the nicest people ever. If you had to say that, like, if you had to crown the golden retriever of the Atheists for Liberty Advisory Board, it'd probably be him. That's how nice and genuine that man is. When he barely pressed Ayan on her actual, truth claims, when it comes to this stuff, she cried, yeah, essentially, how dare you? I'm offended. Greta Thunberg moment. There, when for all these years she was definitely this person of saying, I don't care if facts don't care about your feelings, like I don't care that you get offended when I criticize Islam and blah blah blah, this that, but all of a sudden now they are more than willing to be hypocritical when it comes to the notion of religion, hoping that it sticks in the culture wars, because they know that, like, normal non-woke atheists that actually press them just a little bit on the actual merits of their beliefs, they can't substantiate or back anything up.
Right. And that's our fault.
That's the Jubilee. That's a Jubilee debate too. Like, look at the Jubilee debate. This is just only proof of that. The Dawkins Ayan conversation, the Craig Biddle Ayan conversation, the Jubilee debate with Jordan Peterson. Any of Alex O'Connor's interviews with Jordan Peterson. The time when Alex had Richard Dawkins meet Jordan Peterson in person. This kind of like game of pretend of we're going to be politically correct towards religion, but like really be scientific about everything else. The game is over. Nobody wants to play that game anymore. Everyone is sick of that game. Atheists are sick of the game. Christians are sick of the game. So, if people don't really change their tune and change their narrative and stop trying to market like 2020 word salad, people are going to leave and stop supporting some of these, free speech commentators. It's going to be a big difference in comparison to like 2017, 18 of, being obsessed with these people.
So how then, now that, like, I would mark it with like Andrew Wilson and the Crucible specifically. I'm sure there was stuff before and after, but that really marks a turning point in when Christian debaters started to have argumentation that gave a lot of atheists trouble. And I
amongst
reached out to FTFE
amongst our enemies.
Yeah,
amongst our enemies. Yeah, not like the not this like the fake AstroTurf, like cultural Christians, but like the Groypers, the Crucible people, those types. They have that Christopher, or they have that Christopher Hitchens energy, and so we have to reclaim that passion. We have to reclaim that energy, and this is the fight that we're now in. More and more atheists need to wake up to that. They need to wake the hell up. We need to, get them into our army, get them on the ground, get them to be good at debating, to actually defend their ideas, to push back against this stuff, to be unapologetic in calling. I love what Unknown Atheist just said, phony Christians, and calling out this phony Christianity. Because the more we do that,
doing a good job.
the more this fake tower collapses. And it's going to collapse, but it's strength in numbers.
Yeah. And shout out to Guam Tech, who, somebody who's in the chat quite regularly and in the Discord as well. Guys, remember, it is free to join and you can come to the after party if you click while we are here. But it must have been at least 6 months ago, probably a little bit longer. And, was talking about this, exactly what we're saying, and that it's watering down Christianity and all that stuff. But I was triggered. I was very upset about it. And he's like, bro, why are you bugging? Like, you're right. Just let it play out. You can't force it. So just keep doing what you're doing and it'll happen. And I'm like, damn. That changed a lot, because it's like you can't force people. You can't force people to be beyond where they are. And that same sentiment, actually slightly unrelated, but kind of related, that same sentiment of you got to meet people where they are is what got me to stop using the slavery in the Bible thing, because it makes sense that if you in that time, if you're just like, no more slavery, people were like, oh, fuck this, I'm not following this. And it makes sense that, like, okay, well, let's just do slavery better, and then in the future we'll have Jesus and even though Jesus said so. But that, to a Christian, that's not the kill shot that the atheist community once thought it was. Like, well, there's slavery in the Bible, so and there were slavery in the world. And so, point being that we exactly as you're saying, we need to step up. We need to get better at understanding where these people are coming from. I don't necessarily think that in general, I wouldn't necessarily call them enemies. I wouldn't necessarily use the nomenclature of a war. But I absolutely
they see us as enemies. They see us as degenerates that need to be taken down. Okay, these are the type of people that want to take away. These are the type of people that would love to criminalize homosexuality. These are the type of people who would want to they would make us illegal, our existence. I hate using that, but actually, like not in a woke, weird, like mentally ill way, like actually. This is not your parents' religious right. This is not the boomer evangelical religious right of like, oh, I just want to put the 10 Commandments statue on the public. No, these are people who think that this republic is a 200 to 300-year-old stupid Enlightenment degenerate experiment, and that we need to go back to feudal ways of thinking. We need to abolish this idea of a republic. We need to have a monarchy, and we need to judge it based on divine right. Okay, so whether you look at the Groypers, whether you look at some of the Crucible types, people at least similar to them, this is the culture that is kind of brewing. And so we need to meet fire with fire, because these people are not, they're not trying to coexist with us in the name of democracy. And the left has just gotten so bad that it's created this problem. Right. These people were loving and waiting for this moment to arise.
Yep. Would you say that the lack of that fire that you're talking about is so DJ Isolated before was asking about what war? What are you talking about? Is that connected that we've just, just been taking it? And so it's common to just say atheists have no morals. Atheists are heathens.
Yep. Atheists are heathens. Well, you know what? It's okay because they dress up in suits and they're not as bad as the woke feminists who call me racist on campus. So I'm going to tolerate it. You know what? I'm just going to deal with it. Ha 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 ha. Yeah. I'm not that edgy atheist like I when I was a kid. Exactly. Oh, and then those same people who you thought you were cool with are now crapping on you and not wanting to hang out with you because of your atheism. 2005 is back, guys. 2014 is back.
Let's go. Only in the good ways.
Whether we like it or not, either.
So DJ is asking a good question here. I'd like to give my answer, and then I would like to see what you think of that, and if it's a different answer. And so DJ is asking, how would you roll back the evident degeneracy? And this is, just to add a little bit of context. I'm very, very, very sympathetic to the average person having a very negative stereotype of the word atheist. I'm very sympathetic to that. Obviously, a lot of atheists are fucking losers and assholes and all of that shit. And so the way that we roll back the degeneracy is stop making it seem like it's a dichotomy where either you're a good person and a Christian or
a
you're
bad
hedonistic
person and an
left.
atheist.
Right.
Right.
Because that's the way that people see this stuff. That's the way that your average retarded, whether it's these fake Christians or these people that just don't think about spirituality.
And I think we allowed it. We allowed it
Yeah.
to be that way.
Yeah.
And I think now I think your entire audience, I think, and this is just a symptom. This is a symptom. They're getting sick of it. And so this is what I'm saying. Like the more that imagine, so how many, whatever people are, number of people are watching now, let's pretend we all hung out at either the after party in your server, one day we all get together in like the Atheist for Liberty Discord server or something like that. And everybody talks about their own experience, their own story, expresses that same rage. And then we get them to express that problem in whatever groups in the culture where they're involved. All of a sudden they become essentially Atheists for Liberty activists. But we are now shifting the Overton window. The Groypers did it when I'm the same age as him. So when Nick was 20, 21 years old, if he was able to do this kind of infiltration Overton window pushing to make Turning Point more Christian, guys, we can do it too. So I've been interacting with your audience during your initial interview earlier today in the live chat. These are all people I think that are speaking the same thing, that are expressing the same thing. Mm-hmm. And I've seen this with so many other atheists that have just been in culture war politics on the internet and in person for the last several years. They are sick of the game. And the problem is that the more the game is played with the cultural Christianity stuff, the more the Crucible grows, the more the Groypers grow, the more people that actually want to inflict like real theocratic policies onto us only grows. Like these are Christians that want to emulate Islam because they think Islam is based. Well, the Muslims are doing it over there, so we got to do it here. That's super cool. Yeah. Like these are the type of people we're talking about.
Yeah, no matter what, the Islamists, maybe not all Muslims, but the Islamists will see you, the Christian, as part of this secular world. And we had a question. Where was it? We had a question before. DJ was, I think it was from DJ. Fuck, I just had it on the top of my tongue. I'm sorry, I forgot what. I can't find it. God damn it. 2 more seconds. If I can't find it, we'll move on. Oh, yeah, there we go. So, you said there's only a handful of viable theocratic nations. Do you think America is at risk of being overthrown by a theocracy?
I don't want to sound like a CNN reporter, and I also don't want to sound like a weird mentally ill streamer of some kind or whatever, right? But I have to, unfortunately, say yes, kind of. So let's just play a game. Let's just play a hypothetical scenario. This movement, right, the Groyper movement, you could also say, one of their competitors is the Crucible community. There are different factions, right, between these different groups, right? Just like how there's different factions of Christianity. One of these factions who holds those type of views, they end up not only growing in terms of young volunteers, in terms of money, in terms of infrastructure, but you end up seeing in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, some of these people running for office, some of these people gaining power in Washington, some of these people gaining power in state assemblies near you, county legislatures. Like they're not playing around. They're meeting on, all these people are meeting on Signal right now, in Signal chats and Discord chats and Telegram chats right now, literally planning. Like I know of one guy who's in the Groyper network who works at the White House. Or I think he works at the White House, unless something changed recently. They're not, our enemies are not playing around. Yeah. And so we need to understand.
And furthermore, to piggyback on that, yes, those which we would call our enemies are going full bore. But I think maybe perhaps even more important is the people who are not enemies, but are just in that pipeline. They are the ones that are being influenced. And
they're getting scammed. They're getting scammed.
Exactly. And there's this notion that okay, I don't necessarily love this, that, or whatever, but he's a Christian, so I'll make excuses for it.
So I'll make it
only going to get worse and worse and worse. And as you're talking about, it's going to move the Overton window. It's not good. So I don't
Yeah.
necessarily think that we're in danger of a theocracy.
It's not
meeting.
something that's like immediate, like, oh my God, guys, like, get, like hunker down. Like, I don't want to sound like a crazy person that's, buy the bunker in your backyard and stock. Like, I don't want to come off as that type of person. I really don't. But you almost need to pretend like that is the case, because they're starting the process of gaining power now. They're starting the process of building up the financial institutions, the infrastructure, right, to get to that place.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Look at Nick on X. He gets tens of thousands of likes just for saying like even just 3 words. Look at Andrew Wilson. I'll give him credit. He has grown in the debate
Certainly knows
community.
how to play the game.
He used to just be a Discord debater, I think, in like the politics Discord and stuff like that. Then he started, as far as I know, right, I got to research more on him. I was originally supposed to have him involved in the debate.
That'd be nice.
Like he just started to just debate more and more, film himself doing it. Then he started to go on the whatever podcast, and then he blew the hell up. They're not wasting any time. They're not wasting any time. And it doesn't matter that they're not all unified, because it's just going to be a race of which one of those factions.
Well, and that seems to be part of it, is that they're not all unified, but they're using all the same words, so they're all on the same team. Let's shout out our boy again, Funk Master General, with another $10. Of course, a treat for Morty here. Thank you. So very, very much. What does he say here? So I was eating a lot pie. What is a lot pie? So if you
grabbing my charger once up.
Go for it. I was eating a lot of pie. So a few minutes behind, but when you said they would make you illegal or whatever, are you implying that the woke right would become authoritative? Is that to him? Because I think he would say yes to that. And that's where I think he being Thomas here is a little bit more. I'll say I'm a little bit more optimistic. I think that what we're doing here is, if we can get some traction, then it will reverse this notion of a dichotomy where it's either or. And it'll be able to, the woke right will just kind of wither away, because we'll make fun. So I think this is to you.
It's infrastructure. I was listening to it as I was walking again. My laptop was near death. It was at my other desk. Sorry, everybody. It's an infrastructure issue. So let's talk about our enemies, the Crucible type people, and also the Groypers and all those, Orthodox / Catholic Zoomer type crowds, the repeal the 19th, criminalize homosexuality types. Right?
Speaking of which, really quick, I got to shout out equality and difference, because vagina said roll back the Confederacy, make women property again, repeal the 19th. All shows, all good fun, but welcome to the party.
Yeah. It's an infrastructure game, right? Back in 2017-18, these guys were just operating in kill streams and smaller streams, kind of streams that were also very similar to this, the most intimate and loyal and educated and understanding supporters of their cause, meeting and chatting in the YouTube live chat and slowly building their support network, slowly building their infrastructure. And then they got into power. They were able to find the right moment. They realized, we don't have to be posh and, act like we're in a think tank. People don't like that kind of language anymore. Let's be loud. Let's be reactionary, all that kind of stuff. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. And I think what is happening is this is the new atheist comeback. This is the atheist version of that. We are beginning right now to build the tracks. And right now we're seeing the yearning for something real, not fake cultural Christianity. People are annoyed at the Jordan Petersons of the world because it's creating more Nick Fuenteses of the world. And people want to rally. People want to fight. People want to be involved. People want real answers to things. And so I think this is just our beginning of taking the fight to them.
Fair enough. And I am down with that. So DJ said there's countless proud atheists in the Crucible Discord server. Why are they hanging out with their enemies?
To be fair to the Crucible people, and to be fair, I am generalizing to a degree. I am actually more educated with the Groypers in comparison to the Crucible people, but I know that they are mostly Orthodox Christians who do support him and all that. Andrew Wilson's also known for other things too. I know he's just known as being a debater on the Whatever podcast too. I know that some people like his takes on dating and marriage and stuff like that. So there might be some people that'll just like him for that content, but be totally fine with and just ignore the other content or other talking points that he's saying. So I just want to I want to give nuance, a bit of a gray area and to show some nuance to that.
That being said, that's kind of why I want to stay away from the language of they're our enemies, because I don't necessarily. I think we're by and large after the same the same type of society. Not maybe not Andrew Wilson himself, and maybe not the more extreme people in there, but people who are enjoy watching Andrew Wilson. I enjoy watching Andrew Wilson, especially if it is not the religious stuff. I mean, I've kind of grown out of the manosphere type stuff in general, but he definitely
entertainment is entertainment.
Yeah, and for the same reason, I've sworn off Destiny ever since he said that the Corey Comparte deserved to die at the Trump rally. But before that, I was also very, very keen on watching and covering him, because the idea here is that it's about conversation. It's about being able to discuss what it is that you want. And yet here we are. I'm bringing a Christian on to not you obviously, but bring a Christian on to talk about what it is that you believe, so that I can understand. And because I don't understand already, I'm wrong. I'm mean. I'm bad. I'm in bad faith.
I think we can do two things at the same time as well with this too. So this guy that you brought on, he wasn't our enemy. He's our ally, right? He is somebody who, I think is misguided. I'm not going to sugarcoat that, but I think he's a good person. I think he, on policy, he probably, and a lot of these issues relating to religion in the public sphere, he probably is in agreement with us. I would make an assumption that he is, otherwise why be very cool and hang out with the president of Atheists for Liberty, Dissident Dialogues, right? So I'll give some nuance there as well, but I think we can also be clear in what we mean by enemies. I'm talking about the people that call us enemies, that want to destroy us, that don't want us to have successful careers, that see our goals and endeavors for the country, for the culture wars, for everything as horrible to everything that they claim to stand for. And so they're going to troll us. They're going to do whatever they can to try to humiliate us, make us look bad, things like that. Some of those people that are on the side of that quote unquote enemy, they will want to have as well some good faith conversations and polite debates. I think we can also do that and act in accordance with the platforms that be platforming such debates too. We can still be respectful human beings, but I think we can also be honest on where we are on the battlefield of this. And we are in a culture where we talk about this controversy. We talk about people and forces and entities and people in politics or policy or culture that are pushing on things that we are against. So we are fighting. By even talking and communicating about this stuff with the emotion that we're talking in right now, the way you have your show in many ways, right? We are participating in culture war content, culture war. So I think it depends on who you're in the room with. So if you're in a room with a Christian who doesn't like this theocratic stuff, will agree to disagree, will actually hold their end to the bargain of what we originally agreed to in 2019 and 2020 with these people, where we'll play nice with them. And those that actually will play nice with us, abso-freaking-lutely, glad to have you on board. My family's all Roman Catholic, by the way, so when it comes to diversity of even religious opinion in the room or religious belief in the room, I think their beliefs are silly, but I love my family. I have my friends that are Catholic and Christian of various denominations. I really, really, really don't like their religion. I love them as human beings. I'll be loyal to them.
And
to
largely
the end,
their values. Not all of them, but the idea that, we want to be nice to other people, that that family and community is important, that tradition and ritual are important, all these kinds of things. They are very important to society, and Christianity absolutely provides those things. My thing is that the best we can do? Why are Christians so happy to just be like, yep, we got it. We're done. We got it.
Because I think they know, I think some of them really know that when it comes to, if you're trying to actually have a logical debate on the truth factor, they're going to lose. So that's why they're like, oh, good. No, just let Jordan be. Let him say whatever. Let him be cowardly on the Jubilee. On the Jubilee episode, let him be that way. Let Ion's answer to Craig Biddle be okay. Come on, you're being insensitive, Thomas. You're being insensitive, guys. You're being insensitive.
You're mean.
Because they know, if you're a normal person and you're simply asking about the truth claim, there's a reason why atheism has been growing by a factor of 10 every single year, right? Because of I hate to use this, because of science, because of actually understanding the world that we live in. Not to sound like I just learned what the word science means, but it's true. And so I think additionally we do need to be a little aggressive here again, because these people that are our enemies, they do want to take us down. They view us as degenerate. They view us as horrible. They would wish that we don't have a platform in the beginning, and they want to take control of the country. So, if they are talking about us this way on their shows, if they're describing us this way on their shows, we need to call them out for what they are. And then we need to be respectful and diplomatic and nice to the people that'll maybe disagree with us on some stuff, but still try to find common ground with us. And we can still try to find common ground with those people. So I think we can make that distinction there. But no, we should call out enemies for being enemies, especially if they're calling us out, and they're calling us out every single day.
Yeah, I don't necessarily have issue with that. I just personally that's to be crass. I feel like that's what makes me better than Andrew Wilson, is that he sees me as an enemy when we both want the same type of society, not down to the T. We both want the same type of society, and you think of me as an enemy. That makes you stupid. And so I'm not going to call you an enemy just because you're going for me, because I genuinely believe that, after having sat down with him, he doesn't have this, again, there are a lot of atheists who represent atheism very badly. It's not other people's fault.
Really? You don't say.
It's not other people's fault. If 9 out of 10 atheists happen to be shitty people, I'm not saying they are. I'm just saying if 9 out of 10 people, atheists, are shitty people, then we can't blame other people for looking at that 10th atheist and assuming that they're going to be an asshole. That's the work that needs to be done. And it's not about necessarily argumentation. It's about showing that, hey, you think that you need Christianity because of X, Y, and Z. But we can actually get X, Y, and Z and ABC if we say fuck Christianity and just stick with science, not the science, but science, spirituality, and philosophy. Energy and optics. That's the solution. Yep. Well said. I mean, I anticipated on having this debate, so we're kind of just freeballing it here. Again, guys, the link is pinned. If any of you dirty Christians want to come up and
I'll be on for another 8 minutes. Then I gotta go.
There you go. So Guamtech, where you at? Come on up, bro. Come on up, DJ. Where you at? I mean, generally speaking, why don't, if people are not familiar, why don't you tell them about what is good with Atheists for Liberty?
Oh, a lot, guys. A lot. So everything I was saying, there's a whole organization about it, with a whole team of people behind it, with a whole movement right now, with a plan to win this culture war. atheistforliberty.org. So go to atheistforliberty.org. We're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. So we do our best, like what I'm doing here, to educate people about atheism, but also about the issues that we fight for, about the landscape that we are in. We are a nonprofit for that reason. We do like to educate people. We're trying to make this world and this country a better place. We're trying to protect our country. And so we have different membership benefits on the website, but we also are on all social media platforms. And we have a Discord server too. So if anybody's interested in joining the Atheist for Liberty Discord server, which is now free and public for people to join, we actually don't have the Discord server linked on our website yet. So I'm in the IndianJesus Discord server. So go ahead and DM me. I'm at Shady Tom. So that handle that I actually put down here, that is me. I can give you a link to join the AFL server. We're in need of volunteers. We're in need of interns. We're always in need of people that are willing to help amplify our success and amplify our voice and lead us to greater successes. And it starts by going to atheistliberty.org. It starts by getting involved and joining in on the fight. I see all the rage that all of you have in the comments. I interacted with all of you earlier in this debate, in this conversation. I'm feeling the same thing that you're feeling, but we need your help. I need your help. I can't do this alone. I'm a 27-year-old guy that can only do so much. Really, it's strength in numbers, and you gotta join the army. We are. I am trying to use more military language here to show that we are in a fight. And if you want to win a war, you need soldiers to do so.
God damn right. Shout out to Atheists for Liberty. Got the representation right here. And yeah, man, I really appreciate you coming up and hanging out and giving some context. I always, I've been the guy who has just, gotten too much energy too quickly. But I am glad that it seems like maybe that wasn't necessarily the case. We got in the last few minutes here, we've got DJ Isolated. Welcome to the party. We don't have too much time with Thomas left, but lay it on him. What do you got?
So, getting back to the framing things as a war, are you sure you're not mistaking individual atheists being attacked? You're not conflating that with all atheists being attacked?
Unfortunately, no.
Huh?
Yeah, unfortunately, no. I wish it were the case, but you're seeing a whole move now by the think tanks, by the media companies that are involved in these sort of spaces that used to be fairly secular friendly or big tent friendly to a degree, now taking their branding and attacking atheism and attacking classical liberalism, attacking these things that they wouldn't attack a few years ago because the Overton window has shifted so dramatically. So I've seen this every day. We've seen Tim Pool doing this. We saw him do this in July of 2024 when he was going after Colin Wright. Yes, just an individual. He was then saying, "Oh, he's an atheist. He's a part of this atheist organization." Of course, right? So you're seeing the narrative, and this is what happens in culture war media. It's like when one producer gives the call for a certain narrative to be made and for all the different videos to be made by all these different channels. It's like all the other producers follow suit. You're starting to see this weird anti-atheism, anti-secularism content being made by people that were totally chill and totally cool with us. And were even kind of secular themselves a few years ago until it wasn't convenient for them and until the Overton window changed and until business hit differently.
Yeah, but you frame it, or you almost allude to this is a war that can get to violence as opposed to atheists being plucked and converted, right?
I don't know about
would be the
too much about
Christian
violence.
way of handling an atheist would be the attempt to try to convert them. And if they fail at that pursuit, that's on the Christian.
So I'll give you one example. You're seeing a lot of people right now in the extreme of the other side saying, and I don't care about foreign policy debates. I don't care what you're saying about on Russia, Ukraine, China, by the way. I'm not even going to get into the debate over those politics, but you're seeing some of these people actually want the Chinese regime, if they went to war against the United States. You're seeing Nick Fuentes just admitted, I think 1 or 2 days ago, that he would want China to win the war against the United States because he wants to take down this kind of liberal, small L liberal, structural republic that we've had for 250 years that he sees as this kind of degenerate, party that's gone on too long of Jeffersonians who, think they know better than God himself. These people actually do want to take actual power in the country. It started out in 2018-19 by just, a bunch of kids doing a stream. Then they infiltrated the think tanks and aggressively and militantly moved the think tanks into a different direction because they didn't want people like TheIndianJesus and myself being at the same conferences as them. Now you're seeing these people then gradually get into state legislatures. You're having one guy that I actually know of who works at the White House right now as well in power simultaneously, who's a part of his network. And that's just Nick Fuentes. That's just one sect, right? And then there's other competitors to him and different followers of those people, right? So I'm just giving one kind of
multifaceted thing.
Are you pleading for more fairness in the open market of ideas? I mean,
I would absolutely be open to that. So I am absolutely open to a fair game. I am absolutely open to us operating like it's still 2019, 2020. We just want to have a free exchange of ideas, guys. We want free speech. You get your turn to speak, I get my turn to speak. Let's all understand each other. The problem is that these people, you need to think of them as like how we thought about the woke left. These people don't care about conversation. They don't care about civility. They laugh and mock us backstage for kind of being called like, look at these centrists for wanting like a liberal discussion and democracy and blah 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 and the republic. Haha, what losers! Like, I can't wait till the Vatican takes over one day. Like that's like what's actually going on in their brains. And so I absolutely would want to treat anybody who treats me with respect back. I would love to have that kind of intellectual dark webby kind of like, stuff that we were saying to the crazy feminists when they were at the Q&A screaming at us, like what we were all having to deal with a few years ago. Let's act with respect, and let's respect anybody that respects us. We live in a free country and we have a First Amendment for a reason, but we shouldn't also mistake the fact that these people think of the First Amendment as a waste of time too. They think of it as something that contradicts human nature and human behavior, and therefore we need to get rid of it. Because all of human history...
Then that would actually require an entirely new space to be created.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to do.
And that's
what I'm trying to do.
That space has to be forged in beyond good faith. Not just a claim of good faith. There has to be an enforced good faith in the development of that space. And as of right now,
and some of them do exist.
We are, baby.
Like some of them do exist. Like a modern day debate is a good haven. You have a lot of these. Like Jubilee's
but that's
actually
been the launch pad for Andrew Wilson and others, right?
Well, that's the problem. So this is exactly what I'm saying. It's a double-edged sword, right? Here we are being these like classical liberal type people acting in good faith, having these conversations, playing by the rules, playing nice, like we all did in the anti-woke wars, right? And these people are unfortunately getting platform. They're using that as an ability as well to say, well, screw these guys. I'm going to use them and their niceness to then grow my platform and attack them. So in a way, we are still facing consequences for that too. So when we have those debates with people, we just have to know that that's a consequence of doing that, while hopefully at least reaching as many people as possible by us countering our enemies in those debates.
I don't know. All these sides, all these regiments,
it's a headache. It's a headache, isn't it?
But you're all. But here's the deal: everyone's wanting to pull from the same base, which is this really thick, dumb, huddled masses in the middle. And obviously, what appeals to those masses is not going to be. They're not going to go to like a well-developed, neutral place where the free exchange of ideas is respected in good faith. They're not going to even show up there.
Yeah, and that's why while we have it's like think about this. I actually really like war terminology and picturing this as a war. So think about this. Okay, you're in the United States. You're in the United States and you're at war. The U.S. has a State Department, which has diplomats, which has people that are willing to open up, say, peace negotiations or whatever with their enemies, or to try to have a civil conversation. And then simultaneously, you have the U.S. military that is willing to also understand that sometimes their enemies are not willing to play by those exact same rules of diplomacy, and therefore you need people with guns to do that. So the North Korean DMZ actually is a great example of this, right? If you guys, anybody knows about the border between North and South Korea, the demilitarized zone is one of the most hot spots in the entire world. There's this very famous line of these two buildings. Yeah, these two big buildings, one representing North Korea, one representing South Korea. And in the demilitarized zone, you have the actual border where you have these kind of little blue huts. I guess I'll keep trying. You have these little blue huts that are kind of in the middle of the actual border, and allows North Korean officials and South Korean officials to kind of come in and hang out and try to have conversations, even though they vehemently despise one another's existence as a country and want to do whatever they can to take the other down by any legal means necessary. Right. So you have the peace option there, and you want to try to use the peace option. You want to try to act in good faith as much as you humanly can. But at the same time, knowing the situation that they are in, North Korea and South Korea, in between those houses of peace and negotiation, have soldiers staring at one another with forces armed, with armored personnel carriers armed, ready to cross the border at a moment's notice to hit the unpause button, funny enough, on the Korean War. Think about it metaphorically. Look at me, I'm Jordan Peterson. Think about it metaphorically from that perspective. In this case, you need to operate with the diplomats in good faith, but you need to have the pissed off people like myself and TheIndianJesus and others that are now saying, this is annoying. We need to fight. These people are fighting us and trying to take us down. We need to fight too. You have to do both at the same time. And if you have a network and a base of people, you can assign some people to be the nice diplomats and some people to be the soldiers.
Well said. Well said. So, Thomas, I know you do have to dip out. So, DJ,
I do.
If you got maybe one last question for our boy here, you are welcome to stay, DJ. But yeah, lay it on him. You muted.
Unless he doesn't have any other questions, that's fine too. And DJ, I hope was able to answer all the questions that you had there as well.
I got a Walmart phone up, so hold on.
Not a problem.
Well, in the meantime, while we are getting that, again, remember that as soon as we are done here, we are headed to the after party. And we did just pass the 2.5 hour mark, or excuse me, the 2 hour mark. But I think instead of asking you guys for more money, you guys already hit the swoggle. We got our boy Morty living the life. I think we can just close it down and head over to the after party. So let's see if DJ has something here. While DJ is figuring that out, let's give Thomas the floor one more time in case you missed it. Who are you? What do you do? And where can people find you?
So I'm Thomas Sheedy. I am just as pissed. I am just as annoyed. I am just as fired up as all of you. I'm a good friend of TheIndianJesus. Met him a little over a year ago at Dissident Dialogues 2024. And I run a national nonprofit organization called Atheists for Liberty. We're trying to save the country. We're trying to save Western civilization. We like Enlightenment values, but we're taking the gloves off. We're not playing nice anymore because our enemies are not playing nice with us. All these people think of us as evil degenerates that are acting in the name of Satan or whatever. These people are willing to do whatever they can to make sure our platforms cease to exist. We are in a fight. We need diplomats and we need soldiers in order to win that fight nationwide, both online and on the ground in person. We need activists. So we also have a great community. We have our very own Discord server too. And you can find out more about us and also become a member and follow us on social media too. But go to atheistforliberty.org or also search us up on your favorite social media platform too. Join the movement, join the fight. I would love to meet you. And let's get this party started. Let's keep this battle going. It's time for us to get loud, and we're going to get loud together as one joint movement.
But not in an annoying way. They've been loud, but we're going to be loud in the right way. So thank you so very, very much. It is always a pleasure to have you here. Again, guys, I am a paying member of Atheists for Liberty. I think it is a fantastic thing. And if you see the effect that, the typical atheists and the fake Christians are having, then that is where you want to be, because that is precisely what we are fighting. Thank you again, brother. Any last words for the people?
Thanks for having me, guys. If anybody wants to contact me, you can also follow me personally at Sheedy Tom. So that's SheedyThom. I'm on X, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok. So go ahead and give me a follow. And if you guys have any DMs or questions for me, I'll try to answer as quickly as I can. But we also need your help. So get involved, join the movement today, join the fight, and let's win this thing.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, brother. We will see you around. All right, guys. So, not exactly where we expected this to go, but that's why we got to be ready on the fly. You never know what is going to happen. And, I expected the initial conversation to get heated at some points. But again, I mean, obviously, we're going to do a debate review. Because, you know, we always want to watch game tape. And if I made any mistakes or anything like that, I want to be aware of those. And so that I can, you know, do better next time. Why don't we do this? Since we have a little bit of time, we were playing a little bit of this yesterday, but we can speed it up a little bit. We'll watch a little bit of this, and then we will head to the after party. Guys, I gotta thank you so very, very much. We have reached the swole goal. As you can see, Morty is very, very, very much enjoying his swole goal treat. No push-ups for me, but since we met the goal, the number stays at 15 for the next stream. Well, the next stream, Funk wants to do $2 a push-up. I'm down to try it. I need to get money and I need to get muscle. So whatever will work, let's do it. So let's check out this video a little bit. The old school Lutch still wearing the t-shirt, the hair. But, you know, it is what it is. They don't actually respect your beliefs. They want you to respect them. And so they're affording you this courtesy by not arguing about it so that you won't argue with them. All right, welcome back to the party, everybody. This is Morty, and I am your host, Lutch, a.k.a. the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Let's party. So those of you who do not know, even though the name Jesus, I am an atheist. I do love Christian values, but I do not believe in the truth claims. A lot of the division that I think happens in our conversations, specifically political conversations, have to do with dogmatic thinking, believing something that cannot be proven, and you're unwilling to challenge that. On the right, I think there's a lot of that in religion, and on the left, I think there's a lot of that in stuff like trans ideology. But a lot of that on the right, and this was 2 years ago. That's not really what we're going to get into today. This is a video that I came across when it came out 8 years ago. But shout out to Nick. Nick dropped it in the Discord, which you should definitely join. We'll talk about that later. And as you can see, it's about respecting beliefs. There's this notion that even if you don't agree with somebody, you should respect what they believe. And I've never subscribed to that. I can respect you as a person. And if you're telling me you believe something that I don't believe in, I can respect you as a person. But I don't have to respect those beliefs. And this video is a perfect encapsulation of why that is the case. Let's dive in. Heard that many times. So real quick, let's address, where is it? Anita, welcome to the party, said atheists statistically have higher suicide rates, so they're defeating themselves. And this is true, but because there's nothing about atheism that is tied to suicide. You can just say, people who wear shoes have I mean, if it were the case, people who are wearing shoes are more likely to commit suicide. That doesn't really say much about wearing shoes, does it? But welcome to the party. And you might want to check out my most recent video on that, because yikes. Said that many times.
It's a sentiment that crops up with some regularity in religious discourse. Sometimes it's expressed obliquely as a suggestion that we should all respect each other's beliefs. Other times it's delivered as a demand. I respect your beliefs, so you should respect mine.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's a big one. I respect your beliefs, so you should respect mine. Well, are my beliefs respectable? Are your beliefs respectable? That's a question that needs to be answered. You don't just get respect because you acknowledge that my good ideas are good ideas.
But in all cases, my reply is the one every groom and bride dreads. I don't. With the betrothed, those words understandably arouse feelings of disorientation, alienation, even betrayal. But similar feelings are often evident in the reactions of those theists whose beliefs I decline to respect. It might be implied that I've broken some unspoken social contract that demands my reciprocation. It might be insinuated that I'm being gratuitous.
Actually, you know what? We'll do this. So can we see him so that you guys could see our boy enjoying his stuff?
You mean? It's even been put to me that it's my kind of attitude that causes wars. But is any of that true? I want to unpack some of the tangled up dynamics going on here. I'll be exploring 4 kinds of emotional blackmail designed to elicit undeserved respect from others, and looking at why declarations of respect from theists might be problematic for them. I'll then be setting out why I don't respect beliefs, explaining why religious beliefs, far from deserving privileged immunity, are among the most deserving of scrutiny and criticism. And
now remember, this video is 8 years old, so trans ideology had not even come out. I mean, obviously it was out, people were trans, but it wasn't like it is today. So. And this video that I'm showing you is 2 years old. So the video that it's reacting to is 10 years old. Oh, it's going to be very interesting to reframe this. And now the woke ideology being the one that is the more oppressive one, rather than Christian or just religious ideology.
And addressing a last-ditch defense often offered that even if it's false, religion should be left alone because it performs a positive social function.
And again, I agree that it does provide that function. But we could have something better that's not based on a lie.
things the atheist,
or at the very least, something that we can't prove.
satirist and critic H.L. Mencken got wrong was his assertion that we must respect the other fellow's religion, but only in the sense and to the extent that we respect his theory that his wife is beautiful and his children smart.
So I like that because it's basically restating what I just said. That if you have silly beliefs, I can respect you as a person and treat you with respect by not, openly mocking you. But that doesn't mean I respect your beliefs.
We don't need to respect the other fellow's religion at all. Mencken muddies the waters by blurring together items from very distinct categories. The theory that your wife is beautiful is an aesthetic judgment. Even if you phrase that judgment so it sounds like a truth claim, i.e. she's beautiful, you and I both know, don't we, that this is just shorthand for she's beautiful to me.
Yeah,
I have no reason to respond to this statement. I'm not implicated by it in any way. That only comes if you go a step further and say, she's beautiful, isn't she? In which case, prepare yourself for an honest answer.
Don't ask questions you don't want the answers to.
Religion, on the other hand, is in the business of asserting facts about existence. That does implicate me, irretrievably, and it requires my response. If your reasons for asserting these facts stand up to scrutiny, I have some rethinking to do. If they're based on unsubstantiated phenomena and fallacious arguments, I don't.
And that's the crux of it, is that I have a tattoo here that says, oh, wait. Boom. If you haven't seen it before, I've said many times about my life motto tattoo. Well, I have two of them, but this one, believe nothing except, and that's that anything is possible, is that I have a tattoo here that says, believe nothing except that anything is possible. So even as a staunch atheist, I can be convinced that there is a God, but I need that evidence. And as in all my searching, I haven't found it. Do you now see why I need all these push-ups? And exactly as you said, if you're giving an opinion about, a band you like, then I'm not implicated in that. But when you're saying the Bible is a historical document about the reality of the world, that does implicate me. Yep. And then to use your battleground, he died on that battleground.
Oddly, mirroring the way aesthetic judgments get phrased like truth.
Exactly. Wake-A-Mind said respect is typically earned, easily lost too, especially if the club you're a part of does heinous things. Yep. Puny Man indeed needs push-ups. Should we add on? Should we add on? If we if we get $10 more, if we get $10 more, I'll do 30 push-ups. World, that does implicate me.
Oddly, mirroring the way aesthetic judgments get phrased like truth claims, religious truth claims frequently get phrased like aesthetic judgments. We often hear it said of some God, is real to me. In many cases, this is simply
For me.
to forestall any possible.
That's an inside joke with a friend, and I was just about to do it. I forgot it was in the video already.
In many cases, this is simply
For me.
to forestall any possible challenge.
I'm
Translating to,
funny.
is real to me, no matter what you say. But in other cases,
Dogmatic thinking. No matter what you say.
this strangely personalized reality claim offers an implicit bargain. If you let me make my truth claims unchallenged, I'll let you make yours.
And I did not ask for that. Challenge my truth claims all you want. In fact, I want you. I want you to. I want you to dig deep and find a way to challenge my truth claims so that we can both understand if they are true or not. So, oh my goodness. There we go. We got one from Unwanted Foe. Hey, you got more here. There you go. And our boy, look, Master General. Since we did more than that, let's call it. I'll try for 50. I honestly don't know if I could do 50 push-ups. I think I could do 50 push-ups. But we're going to try. We'll try for 50. You guys are amazing. Thank you. And of course, Funkmaster remains the sponsor of the stream. Thank you so very, very much, guys, to challenge my truth claims so that we can both understand if they are true or not. So I am not saying don't challenge my truth claims. You are just asking me not to challenge yours.
It attempts to establish sympathetic interest between both parties. It says, hey, we can both come out winners here if we agree to look the other way while we both do something very bad, epistemologically. Other folks take a more psychologically hardline approach, invoking a mutual obligation. Here, the message is, look, I'm willing to let you make your truth claims unchallenged, so you should let me make mine.
Nah, nope.
But reality can't be bargained with in this way.
Nope.
The Earth isn't a flat disk for you and a globe for me, just because we make some wishful pacts.
Exactly.
If you're claiming that any gods exist, then you're making a truth claim about a reality of which I'm a part, and it's your burden to substantiate it. Some folks have no such squeamishness about proclaiming the universal truth of their religion, and adopt an openly threatening, violent approach to inspire fear among critics, especially satirical critics.
And we know that, remember, we're not talking about a specific religion. We are talking about religion in general. We're not even necessarily talking about today, yesterday, or 8 years ago, the day this was published. We're just talking religion in general. And we know that the number of deaths in the name of God far surpasses any other singular reason.
The need to be able to subject beliefs to ridicule is not a trivial one. It's a very important one, and becomes more obvious the greater the power and influence involved. When a person or group assumes a position of power, their reaction to ridicule can tell us a lot about their robustness and their humanity.
Again, this was 8 years ago, so now 10, especially if you are religious. Just flip it. Just flip it to the woke ideology. Everything that they're saying, just flip it to the woke ideology, and if you don't disagree about the woke ideology, then you have to look at your own ideology.
We might expect to see a range of responses, from amusement to anger. But when the responses tip over into violence and persecution, that's where we see the warning signs of dictatorships, autocracies, headed by brittle narcissists prone to self-mythologizing. Ridicule is especially threatening to these folks. Not only does it prick their inflated self-image, it also reduces their capacity to inspire adulation and fear among the masses. No authority is beyond ridicule. No politician, no priest, no prophet, no parent. Because that's what theism comes down to in the end, isn't it? Our simultaneous longing for and fear of the magical, mystical, unquestionable parent. When we were infants, our parents or guardians were our protectors and our punishers. And this inspired two irreconcilable responses in us: love and fear. In healthy relationships, where parents' actions were grounded in love, we begin to appreciate their punishments in that context. We see why our parents snatched our hand away from the fire, why they berated us for walking away with that nice grown-up in the park. Consequently, the fear response is resolved and recedes. But in unhealthy relationships, where parents' actions are grounded in power, leading to erratic, overblown, and blatantly unjust punishments,
Hi, Mom!
the fear can endure, sometimes at the expense of love, and we remain infantilized, afraid to challenge a corrupt authority.
Exactly. So if you are an authority, you know, specifically they're talking about parents here, if you're grounded in love, then there will be reasons for, as the child, for you to fear your parents. But as time goes on, you will see that fear has meaning behind it, and the meaning is love. Whereas vice versa, if it's all about power, then the fear is going to be at an all-time high, and the love is just going to fade. Yep. Let's say I blame Jubilee more than Jordan Peterson or the atheist, to be honest. Of course you would. But he agreed to it, knowing what it was, and knowing that he wasn't going to claim that he was a Christian, and yet he was the one Christian versus 20 atheists. So I think they both are to blame, but it's definitely on Jordan more than anyone else, in my humble opinion. All about power, then the fear is going to be at an all-time high, and the love is just going to fade.
At which end of the spectrum would you put a parent who threatens to burn its children for declining to worship it? Of all the authorities, we need to be prepared to question, to resist, to ridicule. The most urgent cases are the ones that threaten violence when questioned, resisted, or ridiculed.
And again, I will bring to your attention, or ask the question, who are the people, which ideology in 2023 is causing more violence due to criticism of their ideas?
The fourth manipulative strategy attempts to silence challenge by appealing to guilt. Here, the message is, my beliefs give me comfort. Can't you just leave them alone? There are times in life when circumstances run us into the ground, numbly waiting for a phone call about a child who's been missing for days, or dreading lonely evenings after a divorce, or sitting at a loved one's hospital bedside, watching them slip away from us. In these situations, we might find comfort in many things: a hug, a chat with a friend, a piece of music, the drive to the coast, the opportunity to escape for a day, an hour, even a handful of minutes, to lay our burden down and let in some comfort, can be invaluable in refilling our depleted reserves and keeping us going.
That's something that most people don't understand about addiction. Yes, I've spent many years as an addict, and a lot of people don't understand that as an addict, you're not trying to solve your problems with drugs. You're just in the position of, there's so much going on that I know this is all going to be here waiting for me, but I just need a break. And of course, that break turns into a whole thing. But that's addiction in a nutshell. At least it was for me.
And many of us would do whatever we could to facilitate that comfort for others. But what if a loved one risked his health by dying?
I am now a waiter again, so please definitely tip your waiters and waitresses. He said he was the lone theist in a den of atheists, the sole bearer of light and truth in a room of darkness. And this is the bait and switch that is done. So Thomas was talking about modern day debate. Recently, I went to a DebateCon that they had in, what was it, Newark or something? I don't know, somewhere in Jersey. And there was a side thing that Uncensored America was doing, which was a similar style to what Jubilee does. It was 4 atheists versus 1 Christian, and it was Andrew Wilson. And they say that the video is on the release schedule. It happened over the summer, but I don't know what we're waiting for. But point being, you would think that it's like, oh, he's surrounded by all these people, but he who is the one has a huge advantage. First of all, the fact is that you get to determine, if you're the one, you get to determine what the prompt is. So everybody else doesn't even know what they're walking into, whereas you have an understanding of what you're trying to get at, what your prompts are going to be, all of that stuff. Then, after the fact, once everything is out there, you know the prompt. You have to think about it in the moment, especially on Jubilee. You got to rush to a chair. At least with Uncensored America, we just got 5 minutes. But Jubilee, you got to run to the chair. And then you have a very limited time to say whatever you want to say, because everybody's going to raise their flags because either they want their turn or they don't like what you're saying. So it seems like, oh, he was surrounded by 20 atheists. It would be one thing if all 20 atheists could talk at the same time. But Jordan Peterson, was the only one that got a consistent ability to talk about his beliefs, where everybody else had to fit within the time frame or the fact that people could raise their flags. So, I mean, I hear you, but this is precisely why he should have done better, because he was the one who was able to talk on what he had said before, whereas everybody else had to just get what they get out, get what they could get out. Gomtech said, for the real question, is past Lutch just darker? Or does he present Lutch to have better lighting? No, I was definitely darker then. That summer dog training was, rocking. So I spent a lot of time outside. So the fact that we're coming up on summer and I still look exactly the same as I did in December should tell you how little work I am getting from the dog training and why I needed a new job. Nita said, Jedi Peterson channeling the force of ancient wisdom, duels 20 atheist Sith with a lightsaber forged from sharp wit and mythic fire. Then why did he fail? Why did he fail then? Yeah, he did. He just failed at doing so. And he said, I also refuse to believe he's too stupid or ignorant to not know what an atheist actually is, so I assume he's dishonest. His 4 premises were ridiculous. Yep. And again, guys, I did cover that entire thing on the channel. So if you're interested in my opinion, they did copyright claim it like Jubilee always does. So I will get no money, but enjoy.
Diving into relentless, unprotected sex with strangers to drown out.
What were we talking about? At least it was for me.
And many of us would do whatever we could to facilitate that comfort for others.
Be nice. Attack ideas, not people.
But what if a loved one risked his health by diving into relentless, unprotected sex with strangers to drown out the pain of divorce? What if a loved one started handing over her savings to a con artist to commune with a dead relative? Would we be so quick to facilitate these comforts?
Nope.
What about the knock-on effects on others? If parents take comfort in fantasies of an afterlife to avoid dealing with death?
Shout out to Josie. Late for sure. It's been a night. It's been a night. So we're supposed to have a Apostate Radio here discussing what I believe somehow turned into what do you believe, and then we couldn't get past what he meant by the words and got mad at me and rage quit. Then we had Thomas Sheedy, president of Atheist for Liberty, up here talking. And since we did hit the swole goal and we kind of ran out of stuff to do, a very relevant video from 2 years ago reacting to a 10-year-old video. Well, it's 10 years old now, but it was 8 years old at the time. It's been a night. It's been a night. We also got our boy Arjun. Welcome to the party. See, that's fair. That's all you gotta do. Welcome. Let's dive right back in.
The knock-on effects on others. If parents take comfort in fantasies of an afterlife to avoid dealing with death, what will their children be taught? Will they get the chance to face death honestly? Or will they now be forced to collude with their parents' denial? Without afterlife fantasies, would parents be so quick to deny their children life-saving medical treatment on religious grounds? What about suicide attackers who anticipate a glorious martyr's reward for their deeds? Afterlife fantasies are not harmless or neutral. They're multivalent, susceptible to a wide variety of applications.
This is exactly what we talk about when we say semantic obfuscation. This is something I'm talking. That's what I should have brought up when I was talking to Thomas about the enemies versus people who are not really enemies. If you guys remember when Peter Boghossian was here live on the channel, we were talking about this semantic obfuscation. Remember, you can get your own semantic obfuscation phone case or mug or any of these other things with any of these designs over at TheIndianJesus.com. But I wanted to ask him about the difference between the Andrew Wilsons of the world who are pushing this stuff and the people who are the followers of that rhetoric and stuff like that. I wish I would have asked that, but same shit that we're talking about here. Semantic obfuscation and linguistic creep. We say semantic obfuscation. This is something I talk about all the time on the channel. And aside from dogmatic thinking, I think semantic obfuscation is right up there with one of the biggest reasons that discussion has fallen apart. And so he's using the word multivalent here, susceptible to a wide variety of applications. Just like the word Nazi. It can mean somebody who worked in Nazi Germany, or it can mean somebody who disagrees with me. These are tactics that are used to manipulate so that your position is validated when it doesn't deserve validation.
The desire for comfort can lead to destructive and deadly behaviors.
like cutting your dick off.
well as states of perpetual denial, which are frequently imposed on others, which is why I don't view comfort as something to be automatically cherished or facilitated,
Sounds like he's not in favor of gender-affirming care.
and why it's often more humanitarian to challenge comfort than to enable it.
It's more humanitarian to challenge comfort than to enable it or affirm it. Again, this is an 8-year-old video, guys. I'm telling you, I know what I'm talking about.
Feeling
I disagree. Well, I haven't seen Star Wars, so I can't necessarily say the same. But I don't believe that religion fosters philosophy because it is a predetermined thing. Like, here you go. Here's all the answers. And yeah, some people do a good job of digging into that, but you don't have to. You can just be like, nope, it's all right there. No, semantic obfuscation.
Feelings of fear, obligation, guilt, and sympathy can help us in some scenarios. Fear can help us escape dangerous situations. Obligation can help strengthen legitimate social contracts. But when folks try to play on these feelings to get us to comply with unreasonable, self-serving demands, that's emotional blackmail, and we need to be clear that that's not acceptable.
Perhaps. If an atheist actually understood God, they wouldn't be an atheist by definition. The atheist doesn't reject God, but a caricature or a false notion of God, which not that which is truly God. So I just had a Christian on here trying to determine what is God, and he said one thing, and you guys were all saying a different thing. So is it my fault that I don't understand God? I completely agree with you. I do not understand what the fuck you mean when you say the word God. Doesn't change anything about my philosophical beliefs.
Behavior.
No.
It's worth noting that when people tell me they respect my beliefs, a little probing often reveals problems with that statement.
They don't. Nope. As it was set up before, they don't actually respect your beliefs. They want you to respect them. And so they're affording you this courtesy by not arguing about it so that you won't argue with them. That's not the same thing.
With Christians, I have to put it to them that this professed respect directly conflicts with their Bible. First, let's consider the earthly life. In the Bible's blood-soaked Old Testament, Deuteronomy chapter 13 sets out the Christian God Yahweh's punishment for worshipping other gods, the sword and the stone. Though less saturated with sadism, the Bible's New Testament, which introduces the Christian's Messiah, Jesus Christ, maintains its distaste for non-Christians. In 2 John chapter 1, verses 9 to 11, Christians are clearly instructed not to receive non-Christians into their houses, even by greeting.
I'm too young to get the reference. I mean, I know who Dick Van Dyke is and that it was a show, but I'm too young to get the reference. Sorry.
Christians are apparently taking part in their wicked work. When we look beyond death to the Christian afterlife, the gloves come off completely. If you don't believe in the Messiah, you're condemned to eternal fiery punishment. I put it to the Christians who say they respect the beliefs of non-Christians that you cannot reconcile your professed respect with these kinds of biblical passages. Beliefs for which your God prescribes execution, social rejection, and ultimately eternal torture cannot be respectable.
And this is where the other side of dogmatic thinking comes in, is that even if you are not acting in line with your ideology, you're still right, because you can use the semantic obfuscation to say, oh, well, God loves everybody and God does not, whatever it is. And on the other side, that, well, we know that there's intersex people, so, whatever you need to do to rationalize, you will do it. Different, but same.
With Muslims, similar problems arise. To them, I would be considered culpably ignorant and therefore destined for perpetual hellfire. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not asking you to respect my beliefs. In a moment, I'll be explaining why beliefs don't require respect.
Nope.
But I encourage you to have a serious think about these passages, because when your religion tells you that non-members deserve execution, social rejection, and eternal torture, we're not just talking about disrespecting beliefs. We're talking about dehumanizing people. Later on, I'll be looking at the evasions some folks offer when this...
Correct. I absolutely admit that I don't know what God is. If I did, well, yeah, if I did, I wouldn't be an atheist. What does that change about anything? Just because I don't understand this thing that you're talking about doesn't mean that it exists. Do you understand Flurbob? You don't understand Flurbob? Well, then that must mean that Flurbob exists. What? That's not how logic works.
This begins to hit home.
So it's not just a simple, like, well, I didn't say it. It says in the Bible you're going to hell. That's not an okay thing to say to people. You can say whatever you want, but don't expect that that's some innocuous thing. You are dehumanizing people. And big shout out again to Men's Mental Health Month. What is Pride Month? I don't know what you are talking about. Well, I appreciate the thought. Keep on trying. Either way, I appreciate it. We can also, don't forget, you can hit up Venmo or CashApp as well. But don't expect that that's some innocuous thing. You are dehumanizing people. You don't deserve the same life that I do. Maybe this life, but not the real afterlife. You don't deserve all of that. And then again, switch it over to the wokeness. If you don't respect my pronouns, you don't deserve a job or a bank. Use and respect. I love it. Let's do it.
Every belief that gets introduced into the public space needs to be open to criticism. If we take its validity as untouchable, then we'll be forced to reject valid information that conflicts with it. The need to be able to
Wait, what? What is this response to? Is this to me?
criticize beliefs becomes more obvious as the reach of those beliefs increases. The belief that Henry VIII occasionally liked to dress up in his wife's clothes isn't going to have a huge impact on our lives.
My girl, there you go. See, they one day, maybe, guys, if you keep your hearts and minds open, one day, Flurbob will reveal himself to you. I can't do it for you, okay? I have faith in the one true God that is Flurbob. I don't know what else to tell you. Look at the trees. Look at how the human eye works, despite the fact that people wear glasses and contacts all the time. I mean, it's obvious if you look at the world that Flurbob is the only one truth.
But the belief that our government is always right would have a huge effect on how we assess all kinds of information.
I don't even need a translation there. Again, 8-year-old video hitting the nail on the head, talking about religion, but now applies directly to woke ideology.
Another reason already touched on is that beliefs shape behavior. Group C believes cancer always results from a guilty conscience.
I mean, how can you argue with that logic? And
can only be healed by confession and sincere repentance. Group D believes cancer is a cluster of diseases prompted by a range of genetic and environmental triggers. It's clear to see these beliefs will result in very distinct patterns of behavior. For Group C, cancer is a very straightforward matter. Patients will be judged as bringing it on themselves and will be urged to confess and repent. Those who die will be judged insincere. Knowledge about cancer will not increase.
See, we're just getting more and more testimonials. Flurbob is so important to the universe. Silly, isn't it?
Will survival rates. For Group D, cancer is a complex phenomenon. Patients will be studied to identify genetic and environmental triggers, and in response to the patterns that emerge, corresponding treatment plans and preventative measures will be developed. As studies open up new avenues of investigation, knowledge about cancer will increase, as will survival rates. You might say.
Hey, man, let's take what we can get.
But even though Group C's belief is false, it could actually have great benefits for society. If Group C believes that guilty consciences cause cancer, surely, you might say, we'd expect to see much more moral behavior from its members. After all, for them, a clear conscience would mean a cancer-free life.
Only when it goes with somebody else. That's not how they think about themselves. Because then, exactly, we would see more moral behavior. And I guess compared to the hedonistic leftist we do. But your average liberal 8 years ago, you weren't seeing horrible, degenerate behavior in mass like you are today.
Isn't that a powerful motivation to treat each other well? Group D, on the other hand, who doesn't see cancer as a moral issue, has no such incentive. Both groups, you might say, offer their own advantages, with Group D offering improved survival rates, but Group C offering substantially enhanced relationships across society.
But do we need the dogma in order to have the more moral behavior? Nope. There she is, Josie, with the $4.99. Thank you. So very much. Eat it. More. There you go. Josie said, when are you going to talk about Elon taking shrooms? I'm not shaming. I wish I could for the experience. I guess I would have assumed that Elon has taken shrooms and acid and all that stuff at least once. But is there a story here with that? I didn't. I was not familiar with that. I'll take a little look and we'll see if we do a little side quest here. But do we need the dogma in order to have the more moral behavior? Obviously, we do not. So you can just add that on to Group D. And then everything about Group C is either exactly the same or completely worse than Group D.
But what if we were to discover that far from leading to some moral utopia, Group C's belief actively encouraged some of the most extreme immorality we'd ever come across? Let's look at a couple of strategies that comfortably combine repeated immorality with
All right, a little side quest we got here. Apparently, where was it? Elon regularly abusing ketamine, Adderall, ecstasy, and psychedelic mushrooms. This is the person Trump let access to and control to our sensitive personal and financial data and make policy decisions that affect hundreds of millions of people. From a New York Times. On the campaign trail, Elon Musk juggled drugs and family drama. Mr. Musk's drugs consumption went well beyond occasional use, according to who. He told people he was taking so much ketamine, a powerful anesthetic, that it was affecting his bladder. Okay, that's kind of a lot. I took ecstasy and shrooms and traveled with a daily medication box that held about 20 pills, including ones with the markings of the stimulant Adderall, according to a photo of the box and people who have seen it. Okay. And motherfucker likes drugs. Like, Shit, isn't that just proof that drugs are not all bad? Isn't it proof that successful, intelligent people can do drugs? I mean, yeah, I mean.
Clear conscience. Strategy 1 simply acknowledges the power of confession and repentance. According to Group C's belief, it doesn't matter what we do. Even if we invite cancer by knowingly committing immoral acts, we'll be healed the moment we confess and repent.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jesus. That's all right. You're good.
Now, there is...
I mean, I guess you could say that ecstasy was the worst of it, but like... Anita said, comparing to God to Flurbob is a category error. God is the source of all being. Flurbob is a nonsensical... It's almost like that's the fucking point. Projection. Actually, Flurbob is the source of all being, and you're the one talking about this God, John. That's the nonsensical word that you made up. Can't refute it, can you? Because it's your own argument.
There's a small problem here in that if we keep repeating the same transgressions, the sincerity of our repentance must be called into question. To make the strategy more viable, we need to make it more difficult to be moral. One way of doing this is by viewing ourselves as substantially more flawed than we really are, picturing ourselves as wretched, weak.
Yeah, as if, yeah, right? Like, what? People in the government and billionaires using drugs? What? Oh, I don't think so, guys. Like, these people are like the best of society in every single way. So they definitely wouldn't be doing Adderall.
Selfish creatures.
Or oppressors if you have white skin. Or toxic if you are a man.
Powerless to resist all kinds of temptation. By doing this, we can set up the idea of a noble struggle in which we're constantly battling to stay moral despite overwhelming odds.
Remember, guys, he is talking. I took DMT and I saw Flurbob. So I don't understand. You're saying to prove to prove God as the source of all beings, start with existence itself. Why is there something rather than nothing? Because Flurbob allowed us to be here. What do you mean? It's very, very simple. Exactly. Flurbob created everything in existence. That's why we're here. It's not that complicated. You're just a dirty atheist who doesn't believe in the one true God. You probably have no morals. You probably want to murder people. You're probably dirty. You're probably mean. Probably nobody likes you. We're doing a bit. It's showing you a new perspective. And it's supposed to show you how doing that is not logically consistent or very nice. Either way, well, we've got a heretic. We've got a heretic. Psych. Guess what? Morty's a nickname. Flurbob is his real name. Oh my god. Oh my god. We figured it out. Flurbob, aka Morty, is the Overlord. Come on, guys. It's just so simple. If you just open your eyes and you open your heart, you will understand that Flurbob is all that we need. Another atheist said there's something because of Flurbob. Well, we're using a lot of different spelling things, but I'm just going to say what I've been saying. Your denial of him is proof of his power. Bingo. Exactly. And he said professionals at Johns Hopkins have shown that when atheists take psilocybin in high doses, they are no longer able to identify with atheism anymore. So what am I? I've literally got actual shrooms and shroom chocolate in my freezer, and not only gel tabs, but paper tabs of LSD in my room, allegedly. Whoopsie! It's just, I mean, come on. If you don't get it, then you know. Thinking about religious beliefs. But if he didn't specifically say that, I could present this to you as an anti-woke PSA. This is what I'm telling you guys. Now you get it. So in the same way that you don't believe in Flurbob because it doesn't make sense to you, we don't believe in God because it doesn't fucking make sense. The difference between the two sides is not as vast as you think. They are very different and live only Flurbob in different realities, but for the same exact reasons.
This version of the strategy allows us a lot more latitude. Here, we can plausibly repeat the same transgressions indefinitely, while continuing to express contrition. Strategy 2 does away with confession and repentance altogether. In this strategy, we simply reframe immoral behavior as moral. This can easily be achieved with a phrase familiar to us all: it's for your own good. With these 5 simple words,
The burning bush. The burning bush had nothing to do with psychedelics.
vice becomes virtue, bullying becomes discipline, rape becomes therapy, intolerance becomes charity, hate becomes love.
Semantic obfuscation. So I definitely think you guys should check out the rest of the video. Oh, honey. It's not that I haven't tried. It's that there was no one there. There was no one there. I've told you guys about the time when I was tripping with my boy, and he's more of the not so intellectual type of drug user. But we were both on. If I remember correctly, I'd taken 2 tabs. No, I'd taken 3 tabs and then 2 more, so 5 total. But it was like an hour apart, and we were like, it's not the same couch, but a couch is a couch. So I'm on one end of the couch, he's on the end of the other end of the couch, and we're watching TV. And at one point, he just sees me like this, just sitting there. Can you tell? Like sitting there, legs crossed, like in deep in thought, and don't know what's going on. And he looks over. He's like, "Bro, are you good?" I'm like, "I'm fucking working here. I'm a philosopher." So, yeah. I guarantee you, whatever you determine is a high enough dose, I've doubled it. Shout out again to Josie with $4.99. Said there's nothing after this world. Most people's brains can't handle the subject of nothingness. There you go. And of course, a treat for Morty. But I do have to say, now you're making a claim about the afterlife. How could you possibly know that there's nothing after this world? I completely agree that we shouldn't behave as if there's something after this world before we can determine that to be the truth. But I've never been dead, nor have I ever talked to somebody who's been dead. So how did you land there? Goes both ways, baby. We gotta be logically consistent, or it's all for bullshit. I was gonna end it there, but let's keep the party. Oh, that's the end of the video. There's a lot there, but I think you get the point that dogmatic thinking is bad. I have an idea. If you've been here before, one last you will know that I talk about this all the time, and I use many different examples. But this is just right up the alley, and especially because it was specifically about religion, and it was specifically almost a decade old, yet is spot on to the dogmatic thinking that we deal with today. I was like, I was amazed.
Dr. Peterson,
how are you doing?
Danny,
So, I mean, definitely go check out. Like I said, Thurman Trees has a lot of good. Definitely a good one. If you want to go give that a comment or a like or something, I think it is getting back up in the algorithm. But since we've been talking so much about JBP, this is just a short one. We will end it on here. But I think if you haven't seen this aspect, it is very important. Buckmaster said, I died one time. There was nothing. It got boring, so I came back. Well, there we go. That's the best evidence I've ever got. Apparently, there's no afterlife. That is empty, but dilly nonetheless. Nita said, if you took enough shrooms where you found yourself an atheist at the end, you did too little. 7 grams to the face is too little? Cope harder. This is what we call the confirmation bias. It must not be the case, because if you did take 7 grams of mushrooms to the face, that you would have seen God. So obviously you didn't take enough. They call a hero's dose 5 grams. I added 2 more. So I can promise you that I took enough. I can promise you that I took enough. I have never, ever tripped on acid without doing at least 2 tabs. And most times I prefer to do at least 2, if not 3, from the get-go, and then an hour later, double up on it. So trust me, honey, I have not done DMT, I've not done ayahuasca, I've not done peyote, but when it comes to the level 1 psychedelics, I know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Nice to meet you.
What's your name?
Danny. You're saying atheists worship things or people or places, whatever.
So again, his prompt for this one is everybody worships something, even though they may not know it, which not that profound and has nothing to do with God.
Can you be very clear about your definition of worship again?
Attend to, prioritize, and sacrifice for.
I said I'd try.
Okay, that's it. That's your understanding of worship.
Well, I could flesh it out, but that'll do for the time we have.
Okay. Do Catholics attend to Mary?
Yes.
Okay. So do they?
I specifically do not trust you. Everything that you've said has made me not trust you.
Fit that description of worship?
Yes.
So you would say Catholics and other people that revere Mary, like the Eastern Orthodox tradition, worship Mary.
Well, they might not put her in the highest
But you would
place.
put it that way.
No.
You just said it. Now you're taking it back.
There's
now?
still a hierarchy.
And of course, we can go down the whole road that even if I did take twice the dose that I've ever taken, I've seen this, that, and whatever, how would we have any reason to determine that that actually is God?
Okay, there's a hierarchy, but within the
There's something at the top.
All right, you can worship things
Mary is
below.
quite a ways up the hierarchy, but not at the top.
Let's go over your definition of worship again. What's your definition of worship?
Attend to.
Attend.
Attend what? I'm motherfucker. I'm winning. Attend to. I thought it was prioritize.
Do
Prioritize.
Do
And
Catholics
sacrifice for.
do Catholics
So now we're adding on to it. Okay.
attend to?
Moving
Do
the
they
goalpost.
prioritize Mary over all other human beings?
No, I didn't say overall, did I? I didn't
Well,
add that to my definition.
you understand?
I said there was a hierarchy as well.
You attend to
So you can
Catholic.
attend to something
There's the
trivially,
logos.
or you can attend to it deeply. And
Okay, I say it myself. So you can worship something casually. Like I worship it, but like not really like that much. Do we see the semantic obfuscation? Bingo. Worship means kind of just maybe weekly. No, that's not how anybody uses the word worship. Come on, man.
And now
there's
you're
a-
adding stuff to the definition. But your original
I
definition.
added the hierarchy part at the beginning.
Are you
just
familiar?
didn't understand it.
Are you familiar with the?
I agree. I think there was a lot. Well, we know about with the Salem witch trials. There was the ergot, and the notion of the burning bush. It's probably DMT.
Immaculate Conception?
Why is that relevant?
Because you go to a Catholic church, don't you? Or you've attended recently. You're interested in Catholicism, aren't you?
Sure,
All right. Are you familiar with their doctrines?
somewhat.
Okay, you're
Their
familiar.
doctrines are very
How do they
deep.
regard Mary?
Why are you asking me that?
Because you're a Christian.
You say that. I haven't claimed that.
Oh, what is this?
Of course not.
Is this Christians versus atheists?
I don't know.
You don't know where you are right now.
Oh my God! You don't know where you are, right? Hey, you got him. Got him, and a shout out to Josie again. My goodness. Thank you so very, very much. That Peterson got owned by a bunch of kids on this one. Exposed. In case people haven't seen it. There's nothing to say.
Oh, what is this? Is this Christians versus atheists?
I don't know.
You don't know where you are right now.
Don't be a smartass.
Well,
and I mean
either
it.
How dare you? Don't be a smartass. This is going downhill. Welcome, Ed Fordshire. I agree. This line of questioning is pretty gay.
you're a
'cause I
Christian
won't
or you're
talk
not.
to you if you're a smartass.
Oh, either you're a Christian or you're not. Which one is it?
I could be either of them, but I don't have to tell
could be-
you.
I don't have to tell you. I do have a girlfriend. She just goes to a different school.
You don't have to tell me. I was under the impression
private.
I was invited.
No. That's not how these work. Jordan Peterson is the one who decides what the prompts are. It's everybody else who doesn't know what the topic is until it's read. How old do I look?
To talk to a Christian. Am I not talking to a Christian?
No, you were invited to.
I think everyone should look at the title of the YouTube channel. You're probably in the wrong YouTube video,
You're really quite something. You are.
aren't I? But you're really quite nothing. Right? You're not a Christian.
I'm done with him.
Shit! Yikes, bro. Yikes. Shout out to Kelly Green. Welcome to the party. Said it. It's easily able to be articulated that Catholics don't worship Mary, not if you define worship as prioritized. You're absolutely correct. It is very easy to articulate that Catholics don't worship Mary. But if you first define worship as okay, let's see. How do we do this? Let's do that. Or prioritize. You're absolutely
Dick
correct.
Van
It's very
Dyke
easy
Show.
to articulate that Catholics don't worship Mary. But if you first
Dick
define
Van Dyke.
worship as prioritized, and then you say
Rosemary,
that Catholics don't
Maury
prioritize Mary,
Amsterdam,
or you can prioritize
Larry
weekly,
Matthews,
and worship is not
and
a very strong
Mary
thing
Tyler
necessarily.
Moore.
Come on, man. Come on. If that gets me copyrighted, number one, this whole fucking shit is fucked. But yeah, man. I mean, nah, we good. Whatever. You guys have been so generous. I don't give a flying fuck, guys. Thank you so very, very much to all of you. I know this wasn't I was hoping that this conversation would be a little bit more of an insight into what it is that I do believe, as opposed to always pointing out what I don't believe. But we weren't able to get there. But I have been talking to some other people behind the scenes who I think are very well positioned to do that and put me in the position where I have to say, why do I believe these things instead of being on the offensive? And that is a big benefit of being the atheist, is that I'm not making claims. So I'm just taking what you claim and saying, nuh-uh. So I wanted to, go a different way around and, have it with me. But we will make that happen. But for now, it's time to pay ourselves. I am not promising that I will get to 50. I am promising that I will try. And I hope you guys will as well. 50. Let's see. You got this. Oh boy. I tried. This is why I need you guys. I am weak. I am puny. I am pathetic. There we go. Pay yourselves. Who did it? I tried. Yep. Well, the more I do it, the better I'll get. The more I will get. We got a new member. Shout out to Jimmy in the Discord server. You get a free pass to hold on. A free pass to the after party. That should have been easier. I'm disappointed in myself, but we gotta try. All right. Shout out to Quantec, did another 15 more. God damn. I took mescaline and sat in really tall grass at dawn once. It was the philosopher in me. I believe it. Boom. Nick doing the fucking 20 triangle push-ups. An unwanted foe as well. Guys, you are amazing. Thank you so very, very much, guys. Oh, man. All right, guys, make sure if you have not joined into the Discord, Join right now, and you'll get the free pass to the after party. We are headed over there to talk about all of the stuff that we can't say on here. Just saying. Thank you guys so very, very much. I know you could be doing anything in the world, yet you are here hanging out with me and Flurbob, a.k.a. the only one true God, the Overlord. Thank you, thank you, thank you. A big shout out to all of our donations. You guys really, really came through for me. And of course, a big, oh, where are we? Shout out to the sponsor of the stream. Thank you so very, very much. I am already in the after party, so if you are a member, I hope to see you there. Thank you so very, very much for hanging out with me, guys. I'm exhausted. I am exhausted. That is pathetic. Oh my goodness. Yeah, right? I'm just going to drink a little bit more alcohol. I think that'll work, right? Thank you, guys. Once again, this is Flurbob. I mean, Morty, a.k.a. my co-host, and I have been your host, Lutch, a.k.a. the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Until next time, guys. Oh, wait, until next time, guys, we are out of here. Well, now that you're a member, I will let you know in the after party, because if they want me to say it on stream, they're going to have to pay me. So head to the after party. Until next time, guys, we are out of here. Oh, shit, I'm on the wrong page. We are out of here. Peace.